Tonight on the Black Channel, 2025 has just started, but we had already begun. Keep your head on swivel. It's going to be a jungle out there. The Black Channel is live. Unapologetic, unadulterated, and absolutely uncompromising. Greetings, brothers and sisters from around the world, and welcome back to the home, the haven, the stronghold, the everlasting superfortress of intelligent black thought. We are the Black Media, and this is the Black Channel. And I am your host, your brother, your humble servant, the voice of Black America, the Black Authority, broadcasting to you live from the only historically black college and university of higher education and learning in the cosmos. You're, of course, welcome to join us. And join us you shall, because on tonight's program, we continue a proud Black Channel Intelligent Black Society B1 tradition. That while everyone else is taking a holiday, black empowerment, of course, never does. And so here we are. All right, let's go ahead and touch on a few elephants in the room. First of all, the situation down there in New Orleans. For those of you who have been under a rock all day, some fella of questionable background and during the New Year's party down there in the French Quarter, right there on Bourbon Street, he plowed through a crowd of people. He was driving a pickup truck and he plowed through a bunch of folk there, killed 15, injured dozens more. He then jumps out of the truck, starts to shoot out with the police, and he's killed. So I've always tried to warn you all that be careful everywhere you are. Don't take anything for granted. Keep your eyes and your ears open. Do not tell yourself it can't happen here. If you're on planet Earth, it can happen to you. So keep your eyes and your ears open. Of course, our thoughts and our condolences are with everyone who's been affected by this. It's like I say, basically it's the only thing folk are talking about. They're rescheduling football games. That tells you how serious that is. In Louisiana, when you're rescheduling football games, yeah, it's serious. So yeah, a whole lot going on. It's been all over the media down here. Hell, it's been all over the media everywhere, but imagine living in Louisiana. So it's been all over the media and everything like that. And it's just a reminder to us to keep your eyes and your ears open. A whole bunch of folks out here have their own agendas. They're dealing with things the way they want to deal with them. And they are fully prepared to accept collateral damage. And they may have in mind that you are collateral damage. So I just want you to be aware of what you're looking at and what you risk walking around out here. There are folks out there who see you as collateral damage. As far as the suspect is concerned, of course, he's not from Louisiana. There's indications that he's certainly not from our lineage, but we're not going to jump the gun on anything there. He certainly is not on code. No one from Louisiana, certainly no one of us from Louisiana could possibly do something of that magnitude, to do something like that. You're not going to go plowing through a crowd full of your people. That's not going to happen. So something else is going on there. Something else is going on. And as things unfold, I'm pretty sure we'll figure out what's going on there. I guarantee he was not by himself. There were other folk involved. So when you start peeling that onion back and looking under it and whatnot, I'm pretty sure that's what you're going to find. But to all of you, I'm just giving this to you as a reminder. To all of you as a reminder. Just because the person next to you look like they might be black, just because you're having a good time and vibing, you have to be vigilant at all times. Let me remind you all again. Those of you who have been out shooting with me, I'm talking about on location, when I'm doing my documentary work, those of you who are with me in New York, those of you who are with me in DC, those of you who are with me in Los Angeles, those of you who are with me in Dallas and you've worked with me, those of you who were with me in Philadelphia, you know how I do things when I go places. I'm always watching. I'm always looking. I'm looking for something that ain't right. Most people want to believe that they are insignificant. I want to tell you all something. Nobody's insignificant. You didn't know any of the 15 people who got killed last night, and neither did the guy who ran over them. But their lives were significant. Their lives did matter, even if you didn't know who they were. So don't tell yourself, as black people in America, a lot of folk have bought into the idea that as long as you're insignificant, then you're safe. And what you don't understand is there's no such animal as what you just described right there. There's no such animal as that. You are not as insignificant as you might tell yourself you are. You have more importance than you tell yourself you do. As evidenced by the fact that, by the way, if they want to kill random folk, they do that. They do that. Those of you who have been with me places, you know I check things out. I look to see if I'm near a car that's running and nobody's in it. If I see somebody sitting in a car in a place where you shouldn't be. If I see smoke coming from a vehicle. If it's not coming out of the tailpipe, something's wrong. That's what happened here in Las Vegas. Somebody drove a cyber truck to one of Trump's buildings out there in Vegas and blew it up. I don't know if they were trying to send a message to Trump, to Elon Musk, or to both, but think about that for a few moments. They drove it up into the valet. He's got a bunch of gasoline and fireworks martyrs in the back of it, and he's sitting in the cyber truck and he blows himself and the cyber truck up. So I mean, full suicide bomber out here, people. Full suicide bomber. Some guy just shot 10 people in Montenegro. I mean, all this happening on the same day. Some guy just shot 10 people in Montenegro. In case you didn't know this. So don't deceive yourself into thinking that you're insignificant. I have to remind you of that again. Don't deceive yourself into thinking that you are insignificant. My people are on a mission. My people are getting things done. And we're making things happen. There are other folks out there who have their own agendas. We don't have time for that. You be watchful. To all of you, when you go out in public, you be watchful. You be watchful for that suspected white supremacist you see over there. If he's got the alt-right haircut, the alt-right beard, you make sure that you're cataloging that. Some of you have been to live events. When we've been at these rallies, you keep your eyes and your ears open. Don't just sit around there and be looking around all crazy and assuming, well, hopefully nothing will happen. Don't sit up here and ignore vehicles. Don't ignore people. Stop trying to be willfully ignorant and thinking that's a shield. When you go into a restaurant or a store, you keep your eyes on the exits. You keep your eyes on the exits. When you're at a gas station, you keep your eyes open when somebody's pulling into the gas station. Make sure they're not coming at you. We've all seen videos of folk flying through a gas station or whatnot. They were driving too fast when they made a turn or hit a corner, or somebody out drunk driving or whatever. They hop the damn curb and bam, straight into the damn gasoline pump. And then it blows up. Keep your eyes and your ears open, man. Keep your eyes and your ears open. You be watchful. Stop sitting up here thinking so much about where you're going, thinking about your destination, that you've forgotten that you're not there yet. Yes, stay off your phone walking through parking lots. You got people looking down at their phones. No clue what the hell's going on in front of them, looking down at their phone. Meanwhile, here comes the mad gunman. Here comes the driving Karen. Let me explain something, Seven. It ain't paranoia if they really are out to get you. Please understand that. It ain't paranoia if they really are out to get you. Folk are out to get us. They're out to get us. So it's not paranoia. They ask Jordan Neely if they're out to get us. They really are out to get you. And if they can have an opportunity to get you, they're going to go ahead and do it. So be aware. Be aware of your environment. Resist the urge to be willfully ignorant. Resist the urge to be oblivious. Resist the urge to sit up here and not know what's going on. Resist the urge to do that. That's a very tempting thing to do because I understand the stress can be so damn difficult. Black folk are always looking for escapism because we lead rather stressful existences. I mean, you're occupied in a system of white supremacy. So we lead rather stressful existences. But when you start making that your goal is to resist reality and ignore reality, no matter what, just understand that that leaves you vulnerable. Please understand that that leaves you vulnerable. That's my point. Those of you who have been with me, you know that when I go to a restaurant, dude, I be sitting in there like Wyatt Earp. I be sitting there like Billy the Kid. I don't have my back to the entrance. There's about half a dozen people in here right now who have been to places with me, been in restaurants with me. You know full well Jason does not sit with his back to the entrance. I don't sit with my back to a door. I don't do that. I never did that. I will get up and leave. If they tell me I can't sit there, I'm leaving your establishment. You are not going to sit me with my back to the door. Not going to do it. Folks, y'all don't know when something could happen. Remember, you've had suspected white supremacists go out walking off into the Waffle House, walking off into a Kroger's, walking off into a giant food store and opening up. You keep your eyes open, man. Keep your eyes open. You be ready. You be vigilant. You're going to the checkout register. Keep your eyes on the entrances. Your eyes are supposed to be in the entrance. You can't do that if your back is to the entrance. You keep your eyes on the entrance. You take a look at everybody who's in the checkout lane. You don't know when it's going to jump off. So you be prepared. Going down the freeway. How many suspected white supremacists have tried to clip us while we're driving down the freeway? You keep your eyes and your ears open. You are always at all times because you are a target at all times. I know that's a tough one to swallow. Damn. But you are a target at all times. You keep your eyes and ears open at all times. When you're walking through the mall, don't stand in doorways like that. When you walk in places, you need to have situational awareness. You need to know where the exits are. You need to know who's in the entrances. You need to see if something's happening. Do you see a group of people moving in that place in unison? You all need to learn that you need to study people's faces. See, that's a big problem when you come like from big cities like New York and LA. Being from the deep South, we've always made the observation that people don't talk to each other. Now, being from the deep South, being from Shreveport, you say hello and you acknowledge every person who passes you. Those of you from places like New York and New Jersey, you make it a point of honor that you don't acknowledge people. You walking down the street, you don't look at them. You don't want to look at them and you don't want them looking at you. Do you realize that you are not acknowledging the person? If you're not looking, they already got the drop on you and you're being willfully ignorant. I'm raised in the deep South. Those of you from Arkansas, those of you from Mississippi, those of you from Georgia, not Atlanta, you know full well, you don't ever walk around and don't acknowledge the people around you. Hey, how you doing? If nothing else, it lets them know you saw them. If nothing else, that one thing alone lets them know you saw them. So it's not a point of honor to walk around and be oblivious to the environment that you're in. So I know this is a bigger struggle for those of you in larger cities because you pride yourselves on ignoring the folk around you. But I'm just letting you know that's not a positive thing. Let me tell y'all right now, I'm the nigga from the South who nods his head and acknowledges people walking down the streets in New York. What? Yeah, I'm that dude. I'll be walking with my kinfolk and friends up there in New York City, and I acknowledge people. Unless it's like really crowded, because if you're in Times Square, that's just not happening. If you're in Times Square, that's just not happening. It ain't gonna occur, so forget about it. But where it's practical, where it's possible, I always do that. Make some of my New York friends feel a little odd, feel a little awkward. And because folk don't say anything, you do that and they keep going like you're a ghost, like you're not even there. I've never let that dissuade me. My job is to be one step ahead of you. I can't be one step ahead of you if I'm willfully disregarding and discarding information. So a lot of y'all out there, keep your eyes and your ears open for that. When you go to department stores, when you go to restaurants, when you go to schools, all these school shooters out here and whatnot, man, you need to be aware of where you at. You be aware of where you're at. Take a look at the folk around you, man. See, if you're not looking at people, you can't see the countenance of their faces. If you're not looking at people, you can't actually see that. If you can't see the expression on somebody's face, the non-verbal attitude that their faces may be displaying, then this person may be full of hostility and you're not seeing the subtle clues of it that indicate that, hey, something about to jump off. Something about to pop off. They say the eyes are the windows to the soul. Well, if the eyes are the windows to the soul, the mouth is the doorknob. You take a look at the way a person's face looks. Their eyes look angry, but they got a smile. Their eyes look happy, but they got a frown. When you see a person's face and it's like, okay, they don't look like they're at ease. We're in a grocery store. Why does he look so tense? We're in a grocery store. Why does he look like he's not interested in buying anything? You got a fella sitting up here walking around the grocery store. He's walking like he on a mission. It's like, okay, he's walking real deliberate, but he's not buying anything. What is he doing? He's driving through the parking lot, looks serious as hell, but he's not going nowhere. What is he doing? And you'll learn these things if you look, but you can't learn them if you're never looking. Y'all need to study people around you, man. Even if you weren't raised to do so, you need to start studying, looking at people's faces. As human beings, we've got reptilian and animal primal instincts that we've developed over the last 2 million years. The reptilian part of the brain, the part of the brain that controls fight or flight. You are intrinsically made with the reaction of fight or flight without anybody ever teaching it to you. That's the result of millions of years of evolution. That's been passed down. You don't have to be taught that. It's in your DNA. So picking up on hostile environments is in your DNA too, but not if you're not looking. You have the ability to detect hostility in people, just the energy being off. You call it the energy being off, but what it is you can see, you know what being at ease is. You also know what being frustrated is. You also know what being hostile is. See, you got those hairs on the back of your neck for a reason. Those hairs are on the back of your neck for a reason. folks sit up here and be putting ultra sheen on the hairs on the back of their necks. What? Folks are sitting up here putting relaxers on the hairs on the back of their neck, trying to get their hairs to lay down. Hey, you stop standing up like that. I'm trying to keep styled up. The hairs on the back of your neck are trying to keep you alive, and you're sitting up here, okay, I'm not looking folk in the face. Let me pet these hairs down. Got me looking all nervous. People talk about reading the room. Being willfully ignorant robs you of the essential capability of reading the room. That's a problem with that. When you refuse to have that creates a problem, man, when you sit up and do that. You already have the ability and the capacity and the tools already in place. You're already biologically predisposed with it and equipped with it already. And what in the world do you do here? You start looking for reasons not to have it. Not being able to read the room. There's a whole bunch of folk who are in that condition. And it ain't smart. It's not smart. Give you one sterling example right here. Talk about somebody ain't reading the room. Whole bunch of folks have commented on this picture here that I've been showing of the former rapper Eve, because she's not a rapper anymore. You want to talk about not being able to read a room. You want to talk about not being able to read a room. When you're a black person sitting in this environment, that if I didn't tell people that you were the wife of the man at the other end of the damn table, the fella down there way in another county, the table is so damn long, he's off in another county. If you didn't tell folk that the only black person here, that she's not the help, she's not the maid, she's his wife, if you didn't tell them that, they wouldn't know it. She's even dressed differently than them. You would think that she was the maid. You think she's the maid. When you lose the ability to read the room, you want to know what happens when you lose that ability? You end up sitting in situations like this. Yes, I mean, she got the headband. She got looking like Aunt Jemima. Ain't Jemima neither. I don't know what kind of chain thing that is around her neck. I don't know what kind of slave play audition this is supposed to be, but I mean, I'm half expecting them to break out a statue of Baphomet and start some satanic ritual. And guess who's for dinner? I'm just saying, what happens when you lose the ability to read a room? You cannot afford to be a person who you walked into a damn room. It's obviously a setup and you don't know any better. You don't know any better. In 2025, we're not going to do this. We are not going to continue reveling in being willfully ignorant. It's too dangerous out here. It's too deadly out here. 2025, we are also going to make sure that we get folks straight on what's going on where we stand, and that these are not temporary fads that are going to fade out of existence. That this is going to be the new normal. Being on code is the new normal. Laying it out so everybody is straight on where we stand is the new normal. At the end of this year here, you have had a wonderful, sterling reminder. You've had a wonderful reminder that let you know that going forward, We are still changing things. I mean, we haven't slowed down changing things. We've accelerated. We've accelerated at it. We are the topic of conversation. We're trending all over the place. You used to have a bunch of criticism out there. Now you seeing that criticism is dying down and dying out. This is the product of doing that. This is the benefit of doing that. So in 2025, believe me, you're going to see more of this. It is going to be a steady drumbeat of it. This is how you change cultures from the inside out. This is how you do it. We are going to make sure that everybody is straight about what it means to be on code. And we are not going to make excuses for it otherwise. You want to know what makes you an easy target? What makes you an easy target is being off code. What makes you an easy target is sitting up out here being by yourself. What makes you an easy target is having no people to call on when everybody else comes at you as a group. That's what makes you an easy target. Our generation learned something that the civil rights generation had disregarded. That being by yourself is dangerous. Being by yourself today is not simply a choice. Being by yourself is dangerous. Do you understand that when you're running around by yourself, what you're basically saying is that you are expecting the rest of society to take care of you? And every time somebody tries that, they find out the hard way that is a self-inflicted delusion. In 2025, we ain't fooling with no celebrities who ain't fooling with us.
What? And deal with it, nigga.
2025, we ain't fooling with no celebrities and ain't fooling with us. We're not going to sit up here and have any sacred cows, people. Going forward, there will be no sacred cows. In 2025, it is official. Jason Black is no longer the only one saying it here. All the old niggas are on notice. Do not think that simply because you've gotten old that is your protection. That you are immune from objective observation and critical analysis because you done messed around and got old. As if getting old is an accomplishment. You know what else gets old? That broke down car in your front yard. It's not getting more valuable either. You know what else gets old? Molded food. Moldy food gets old. Buttermilk gets old. Just because something gets old does not mean it's becoming more valuable. There are plenty of things to get old. And by the way, do you realize it's losing its value? $2025 is the year that we letting everybody know paperwork check. Paperwork check. We walk in the yard up one side and down the other. Everybody paperwork check. Let's see it. Niggas who fail the paperwork check, that's it. And there's no reason for anybody to fail the paperwork check. Let's be clear about that. There is no reason ever for anyone to fail the paperwork check. Jason, why do you say that? Very simple reason. I want you all to understand the concept here. The problem with the cooners and buffoons and whatnot is that you are unable to reconcile yourself with people because you are unwilling to humble yourself to the people. You see, when you're in the wrong and you're doing things you shouldn't be doing, what you are supposed to do is humble yourself to the people. That's what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to humble yourself to the people. Okay, had to go turn whatever the hell that was. I'm on the road right now, so I'm out here getting things done. So forgive some of the background noise. I'm out here trying to get some things done. But there's no reason for anybody to be failing the paperwork check. We ain't gonna have it. If you're failing the paperwork check, that is by choice, not by condition. You see, when you're in a situation and you have to humble yourself to the people, when you're in a situation you have to humble yourself to the people, you are supposed to be glad to have an opportunity to humble yourself to the people and reconcile yourself to the people. There's no reason for you to ever fail that paperwork check. If somebody challenges your credentials, you're supposed to have already had work put in. And if you don't have work that is put in, you are supposed to accept that as this is your notice to tighten the hell up. When you get called out in front of the people and for the paperwork check and the paperwork comes back bad or there ain't nothing on your damn sheet, folks don't know where you stand. See, you're not supposed to be happy with ambiguity. Let me explain something to you. Kamala Harris lost the election because she was so damn ambiguous. Racially ambiguous, socially ambiguous, politically ambiguous, intellectually ambiguous. You sit up here and try to be a friend to everybody, you end up being a friend to no one. Or should I say, you try to be a friend to everyone, you end up being an enemy to everyone. People being clear about where you stand is the only way that they can respect you. You sit up here trying to say it in the manner in which this will make everybody happy, and that's not the way you gain respect. You gain respect by letting people know where your boundaries are, and that these boundaries matter to you because you're going to stand on them. To the biracial kids out there, there's two types of biracial kids. There's the biracial kids that think that they're slicker than everyone else, and they'll be black when convenient, and then they'll be mixed when convenient. Then there's the biracial kids who understand in America, use a nigga, and this is what it is, and they're not sitting up here making any bones about it, and they stand 10 toes down. Those are the smart ones. The dumb ones run around thinking that they're playing the rest of us are going to ride the fence, and it never works. We see you all from a mile away. It's the oldest game in the book. You're far better off choosing that side and standing on it. You're far better off doing that because you're not fooling the rest of us. Not at all. Not at all. Continuing to try that is a fool's errand. Nobody trusts you. As Malcolm X said, nobody trusts Mr. In-Between. Nobody is trusting Mr. In-Between. You can't trust In-Between because he can't trust himself. To the folks who are on code, you are supposed to relish the opportunity to demonstrate and show that you are on code. There is the ultimate pride and respect when you are thinning the herd, when you are standing for the cause and standing for the people. There's no higher calling than that. You should never have an issue with standing for the people. You should never have an issue with standing for the cause. That is, of course, if you're actually standing for it. If you're expecting other folks to play a game with you, then it gets difficult. Being on code, you do not have to be a foundational to be on code. It's the most important thing that you can do. It is the biggest gift that you can give yourself and your own people. It's the biggest thing that you can have because those are the winners and you're following a winning program. You are not holding on to something that has obviously failed. 2025, you're going to have to be introspective and start discarding things that don't work because you're emotionally attached to them. Do you understand that most people are failures because they refuse to simply concede that they're wrong? Do you realize that most of the folk out here who make asses of themselves, looking at you, Eve, most of the folk out here who make fools of themselves, looking at you, Candace Owens, most of the folk out here who sell out their damn souls and look stupid, looking at you, Roland Martin, most of the folks out here who do that, it's because they refuse to admit that they're just wrong. So they end up doubling down and tripling down. And it looks ridiculous and it looks stupid and it's beyond cringe. It's just mortifying. when you'd be a whole lot better off just stopping and saying, okay, I was in the wrong. But you see, in order to do that, you're going to have to give up something. Jason, what am I going to have to give up? You're going to have to give up the idea that you're going to lead us. What? Let's just call that for what it is. The people who sit up here and continue walking on and they're dead ass wrong, they're not doing it because they think they're right. They're doing it because they want to lead us. And they don't care if what they're saying is demonstrably, empirically, look it up, obviously wrong. Y'all think about that for a few moments. Jim Clyburn. He didn't argue with us because he thought he was right. He was arguing because he wants to lead us. And the only reason he wants to do that is because he's never really succeeded or accomplished anything except being a puppet of the Democrat Party. Then he wants to hand it off to his kids like that's going to be their legacy, my congressional seat. Folks who insist on that, they're not doing it because they think they're right. They're doing it because they want to lead you. The folk who want to play both sides of the fence, the folks who want to ride the fence, the folks who want to be black but convenient, they're not doing it because they think they're right. They're doing it because they want to be seen and they want to lead you. And you don't get to lead. The agenda is the leader. You walking in saying, put that damn agenda to the side, I'm leading. You don't get to lead. You don't get to lead. You fall in line. The agenda is the leader and you fall in line. This is why even if we lose people, either by attrition or death, the cause and the people continue because the agenda is the leader, not a person. When you have a person who starts trying to elevate themselves, understand the agenda is going to take a back seat. The agenda is going to get kicked out of the car because you have a person who is telling you that they're the agenda. We need to look out for them. Going on 2 decades now, you all know from day one, I have taken phone calls. I'm the guy who does that. I take phone calls. I don't have a call screener. I never have and I never will. I don't need one. I can talk directly to my people. If somebody disagrees with me, I don't try to shut them up. I tell them, hey, you need to come on over here and talk. No. Let me give you this microphone right quick so you can go ahead and speak up on this. Now, all I'm going to say to you is, in my opinion, that's the way everything should be done. Don't tell me that you have the best idea. Don't tell me you have the clearest vision and it's never been tested. Something happens here, open up that damn phone line, open up that damn Zoom. You call me up. You call me up. I have no issue with that. None. And I want the people to hear what is said so that they can gauge whether or not when the hypothesis or the theory or your particular principle is tested, whether or not the people realize, okay, it's been put under fire, it's been put under scrutiny. Did it stand or did it melt? I don't want you to take anything that I say on faith. Jason, you always trying to tell people that you right. 2025, don't take no niggas on faith.
And deal with it, nigga.
2025, we ain't taking nobody on faith. 2025, we checking paperwork, we checking documentation. 2025, we checking to see, are you a reliable source of information? You should be able to do a damn roll call of the things you said. You should be able to do a roll call. We should be able to do a review of that, check that and see how that's going. There are a lot of folks who don't like me because they're like, you think you're so smart because you told about something that happened before it did. That's the hallmark of a reliable source of information. The greatest expression of a reliable source of information is that which can tell you what will happen before it occurs, not that is simply commenting on what's already occurred or what's currently happening now. If you're a reliable source of information, you should be able to give us some insight into where this is going. 4 years ago, when Buck Dance and Roland Martin and the rest of them were sitting up here talking about Joe Biden and Kamala Harris had won, you all remember there were a bunch of folks, I don't know who the hell they thought they were. Remember there was a bunch of folks who thought that I was going to be embarrassed or this, that, and the other. And I said, are you kidding me? Go back and go watch my program from November of 2020. When Joe Biden and Kamala Harris won the election, go back and watch that. And go see what I said. I said, this is good. There were a bunch of folks and my longtime listeners, they couldn't believe it. Jason, this is good. You don't even like them folk. And I sat there and said, because now for the next 4 years, it's not on us anymore. They are going to have to prove that the things they said were right. They're going to have to prove that they're not lying. See, it's a whole lot easier to not be in office and say, boy, I would do something for you if I was in power. Once you got put in power, now you have no more excuses. And we all see how that went when you actually hold people accountable. I told everybody in 2022 that Joe Biden was going to declare the COVID pandemic over in 2022 because the midterm elections and he needs the votes. I called that months in advance. Months. And sure enough, when we got into 2022, Joe Biden declared the COVID pandemic over. I didn't say what happened as it was occurring. I said he's going to do that. Boom. He did it. And what I'm saying is that needs to be the standard right there. Yeah, it can be a high bar to clear for some folk, but folks, don't take anybody on faith. I see more people out here handing out more garbage and gobbledygook. They're handing out a bunch of damn babble and niggas are sitting there, man, look here, forget that. You want to know the reason why the black churches with the pimp pastor preachers are still there? You want to know why? For 2 reasons. Number 1, the congregation does not want to admit that they are wrong. Number 2, they are so emotionally invested in that man up there in that pulpit that they don't want him to look bad.
What?
They are so invested in that man up there in the pulpit that they don't want him to look bad. They like him, or they just assume that his heart is in the right place. So they don't want to actually get up and leave and concede that he's not actually doing anything productive or useful because they're trying to protect him. Yeah, they're trying to protect themselves, but they've grown emotionally attached and they're also trying to protect him. There are a bunch of you in here listening to me. You operate the exact same way. You have folks that I told you to stop fooling with years ago. Still there. Still watching them. Still giving them an ear because you don't want them to look bad. You're protecting them. 2025, we ain't doing that. 2025, that's all done. 2025, they're going to have to sit up here and show the paperwork. 2025, they're going to have to show the competence. They're going to have to show that. 2025 is going to be the year of the troublemaker, is what it's going to be in 2025. 2025 is going to be the year making trouble. 2025 is going to be the year that folks think we got them win away. We did not get up and get away. We did not disappear. 2025 is going to be the year of the rumble. 2025 is going to be the year we make trouble for folks. They didn't understand what the election was actually about. The election was not about Democrats winning or losing, for that matter, though they did. It was about folks understanding that we're standing on our square and we're doing things a new way. We are not going to be quiet. We are not going to settle down. We are not going to just let you have your way. We are going to be seen and we're going to be heard. Right when you wish we wouldn't. See, there's the thing about it right there is that we're going to get folks taking firm positions on things. They don't want that. They want to do it during an election year because they think they got your back to the wall. It's like, oh, no. Now that the election is done, now we get to start hammering you some more. Now we start hammering you some more. There are a whole bunch of folks out there who have been trying to act as if they got that down pat and that they know us. No, well, when you finish blowing off steam. No, we ain't doing that. No, we're not doing that. "2025 is the year that you let go of political entertainment." Let me explain to you here. There's some folks out there, y'all keep trying to include folks in the new black media who ain't no part of it. You need to stop that. You need to stop that. Not a good sign, not a good look. You need to fall back on that. Stop being gullible. You doing what your grandmama and your mama did for the pimp preachers. Cut that out. "2025 is the year of getting serious." 2025 is the year of getting serious. You cannot do anything for anybody else if you can't do anything for yourself. 2025 is the year, bad credit, no money in the bank, making excuses, getting to the turnout. No. 2025 is dead for all that. 2025, we're done with all that. 2025, we're done being helpless. You don't have to be a multimillionaire, but you also don't have to be helpless. "2025 is the year of disregarding frivolous people around you." Some of you are listening to me right now. You have a frivolous, undisciplined, unmotivated person sitting next to you right now. Probably sitting in the bed with you right now.
Nigga, please.
There's a number of you right now who got the little weed habit. Okay. You've been sitting up trying to act like damn Johnny Cochran playing defense attorney for that for years. What we got to show for it? "2025 is the year you stop arguing with folk in your family."
Alrighty then.
2025, you ain't arguing with no more folk in the damn family. Every time I turn around, I get somebody who calls me up, "Jason, my auntie crazy as hell, my cousin, my sister's a coon. This, that, and the other." Dude, cut them off. That doesn't mean that you have to excommunicate them, but you gonna have to make a conscious effort to understand that this is their shortcoming, and you are not gonna sit here and play games with them where they're sitting around bull jiving and you sit with them. They taking up your damn time. You sitting there trying to convince them of something. Let me tell you something. If it's old niggas in your family, they already saw it, man. If it's old niggas in your family, they already saw it. I told you over a decade ago, they just want a peaceful death. You trying to convince them to get back on the battlefield. And let me explain to you why you are trying to do that. You're trying to do that because you want to be able to respect them. I get it. You want to be able to respect them. It's hard having folk, they in your bloodline, they're in your family tree, and you don't respect this nigga. I get it. But you need to cut your losses because you're losing time. That's not something that you control. If they are not interested in being a respectable person, you're going to have to let go of the fantasy that you're going to be able to help transform them into someone you can respect. And that is going to be a tough pill to swallow, but it's necessary. The truth of the matter is that a bunch of you are trying to get your mama straightened out, your auntie straightened out, your sister straightened out so you can respect them. Man, let me tell you, I said this over a decade and a half ago when I started this program. The entire point of starting the Black channel was because this is supposed to be your family here. People who are already straight. Let me tell you something. Do you realize most the women in here in particular, the ladies in here, they usually get older before they realize this one. That the time that you spend trying to reform someone else for what their parents failed to do or the environment failed to do, the time you spend doing that, you would be far better off using that time to leave this person where they are and locate someone else who's already ready. You'd be far better off doing that. That would be a better usage of your time. Most of the females in here, you had a bunch of females who tried to build a nigga sitting up in here. She was throwing them thighs open for years, in some of your cases, decades. Damn! She was waiting to motivate him and this, that, and the other. She giving him back rubs and patting him on the back. And baby, you gonna get this, that, there, and the other. And he ain't got off the damn couch. You're sitting there watching him with the Xbox. You're sitting there watching him with his weed habit. You're sitting there watching him smoke cigarettes. You're sitting there watching him give you excuse after damn excuse. And you're telling yourself, well, he's a good person. You know who you sound like? Your mama with the pimp pastor preacher. You're making excuses for him. Because the truth of the matter is that you are more afraid of what's going to happen tonight than you are what's going to happen next year. You're worried about being alone tonight. When the truth of the matter is you are going to be exactly where you are a year from now, in the exact same place, in exchange for this tonight. Well, it was so hard finding him. Baby ain't found nothing. You have a crippled, hobbled man who is appealing to you for sympathy and mercy. You don't have a leader who is appealing to you for sympathy for what he hasn't gotten done. The only time you give a man back rubs is after he's won battles and brought home the damn bacon.
And deal with it, nigga.
What the hell are you doing giving him back rubs and giving him pep talks and cheering him up? And he hasn't engaged. He's suffered no discomfort. He's suffered no hardship. He's been sitting right there on the damn couch and getting back rubs. You're soothing him for what? He ain't did nothing. You're supposed to soothe muscles that have worked. You're supposed to soothe muscles that have done something. You're supposed to soothe muscles that have accomplished something. You're supposed to soothe muscles that have strained themselves on your behalf. Those are the muscles you soothing. You got females sitting up here soothing muscles for a nigga. The muscles ain't did no work. Your muscles have done more work than his. And usually you all get in your 30s or 40s before you finally get tired of playing that little game. But you would be far better off finding someone else who's already ready, because you are ready. Most of the women listening, ladies, I've got to read the mail. Most of the women listening are upset because they gave their 20s to a fella who wasn't ready. And as a result, you never got ready. Now, that's not his fault. It's not his fault that you're not ready. You chose not to be ready. You should have been trying to locate a man who was ready so that you could be in an environment where you yourself could get ready. Instead, you gave your 20s to somebody he wasn't ready, and yet you were at least ready for him to be ready. Well, he wasn't ready. So you gave the best damn prime years got given to Mr. Ain't Ready Yet. Then you found out ain't ready yet became ain't ready never. And that's the real damn truth of it. Ladies, if I'm telling the truth, give me the clock emoji in the chat room and hit the likes button for me It's over 3,300 people in here live. It's late New Year's night. I know it's kind of impromptu here. I'm usually on a bit earlier. I've had a lot of running around to do, getting things taken care of and straightened out. But ladies, if I'm telling you the truth, that this is your life experience, you've seen it, you lived it, give me the clock emoji in the chat room. Let's call it for what it is. You now realize if you gave a fella 5 years of your life and he was never ready, he never became a man, he never became a leader, baby, you'd have been far better off spending that half a decade looking for someone who was. And here's the thing. You'd be better off spending that half a decade looking for someone who was, and at the end of that half a decade, if you're still looking for someone who was, and even if you didn't find them, that was still better use than giving your resources of your time and your body and your attention to a fellow who wasn't ready. Well, you'd be saying, well, I don't have anything to show for it. Well, you've got less to show for it with all the effort that you gave to somebody. You've given them resources, crow's feet, gray hairs, some cases messed up credit. So when you did that for the fellow who ain't ready, you're going backwards. You're not just sitting still. You're going backwards. You're actually going backwards. Consider that. If you were just looking for a guy who was ready and never found him, at least you weren't going backwards. You getting with a fellow who's not ready. He's draining resources. He's draining time. He's putting cellulite and stretch marks on your damn body. You're going backwards. It'd be better to be at the end of that 5 years and not have found anybody at all than to have been at the end of 5 years of giving your all, or even half of it, to a fellow who wasn't ready. To the folks in here trying to whip people in the family into shape and whatnot and this, that, and the other, man, look here, they grown ass people. Understand something. There's something that I realized over a decade ago when I started meeting folks who were haters, folks I grew up with, folks who I was friends with in school or whatever and whatnot. And I ended up in one place and they ended up in another, and then they started hating and whatnot. I just realized something one day. I'm like, wait, because at first I'm like, well, I've had opportunities, and I didn't have opportunities. I made opportunities. I'm not saying that I'm the greatest, grandest, most wonderful thing out there. What I'm saying is, wait a minute, nigga, you had the same damn 3 decades I did. Nigga, you had the same 3 decades I did. Now at this point, 4 decades. You had the same damn 4 decades I did. You were raised in the same damn city, went to the same schools. You had the same 4 decades I did. What did you do with it? 2025, at the end of making excuses, I got a bunch of folk in here right now. You making excuses for folk who had the same damn 20, 30, 40 years you did. Have you considered that? You feeling sorry for them, that they jealous and hating on you, and you like, well, maybe there's a reason for it. You having survivor's guilt. That nigga had the same 4 decades you did. There's a bunch of females in here. I gotta speak to the ladies tonight. There's a bunch of females in here. You done had problems out your mama since you were a teenager, because that heifer woke up one day and she wasn't happy where she ended up with. That heifer had the same 4 decades you did. She had the same 3 decades you did. What the hell did she do with it? She mad at you because she had 3 decades and she didn't make the use of them that you did. Okay, if she wanted to play stupid games and win stupid prizes, that was her prerogative. If you decided, you know what, let me do something different, that's not a character flaw on your part. You got folk, you sitting around the damn table for the holidays and whatnot, these niggas hating on you the whole damn time. It's like, okay, forget all that. They had the same damn time period you did. If they didn't think it was necessary for them to sacrifice for, then too bad. Too bad. That's the way that goes. That's the way that goes. Stop trying to save family members. They heard what you said. They heard that. What you're doing is feeding into them and you trying to save them. because you want to be able to respect them. I got a better idea. Why don't you respect yourself? How about that one? Instead of trying to have family members you can respect, how about you instead focus on you becoming the best version of yourself that you can respect? How about that one? Instead of trying to whip them into shape, you take yourself who's already whipped into shape and you build on that. Invest that energy and those resources into that. So the ladies listening to me right now tonight, it would be a far better use of your time for you to have a set of flat abs than for you to try to get your damn drunk uncle to embrace black empowerment.
And deal with it.
And I meant that. It would be a better investment of your time to take some cooking classes and get some flat abs and to become a better role model. It would be a better use of your time to do that. It really would. Think about this for a few moments. See, this is where the women in their 40s and 50s come into place, because they will tell some of you younger chicks, man, they've been sitting up here nagging niggas for 3 and 4 decades. He's still sitting right where he was when you started nagging him 30 years ago. If he didn't listen 30 years ago the first time you told him, he heard you the first time. If he didn't act on it, it isn't because he didn't hear you or he didn't understand. He ain't buying what you're selling. The difference between the two of you is not a difference in knowledge. The difference between the two of you is a difference in desire. You desire to have better and he doesn't. And there's a bunch of women in this chat room right now tonight, to the women in your 40s and 50s who you done spent the last 3 decades of your life nagging your uncle, nagging your daddy, nagging your mama, nagging your brothers, nagging your sisters to get them to be better, more responsible people. And 3 decades later, they are still in exactly the same shambles state they were when you started nagging them 3 decades ago. Give me the calendar emoji in the chat room if that's you, ladies. After 20, 30 years, you've been saying the same damn thing like a broken record to them for 2, 3, 4 decades. You've been pointing out these flaws. You've been pointing out these problems. They're sitting up here complaining about it. And you come back 2, 3 decades later, it ain't nothing changed. You've just been going over and over and over and over. 3 decades later, it ain't moved. Okay, that energy could have been used in a better direction. There are better places you could have used that. That energy could have been utilized in better places. And you don't realize you could have done that until you start looking back and be like, I'll be damned. You'd have been and many of you now, you got the confidence to actually pursue it. You could have spent a decade looking for a fellow or trying to be with a fellow who was actually ready. It would have been better to have that there. Okay, he's actually ready. So you ain't got to drag anybody. 2025, we ain't dragging niggas. We're not dragging niggas except the ones we getting throwing that heat on, dragging them. That's it. But we're not dragging people to salvation. They heard you the first time. We do not have energy to spare in that regard. We ain't dragging nobody. They heard you the first time. We ain't dragging you. We ain't dragging you. Folks who sitting up here and think they can go ahead and screw off their whole lives and there's somebody's going to play savior and come back later and scoop them up and drag them kicking and screaming. There's the other thing why it's a waste of time and resources. You don't just drag them. They sitting there trying to fight you the whole damn time. You don't have to just drag them. They sitting there swinging on you and fighting on you. Get your hands on me, nigga. You sitting up here trying to beat them into submission and suppress them and subdue them so you can save them, so that you can fulfill your fantasy of being able to respect somebody in your family tree. Man, if you don't get a damn hacksaw and cut this damn branch off the tree. You trying to keep them on the tree. You better prune this damn thing. That is it. Folks be trying to save the biggest, rottenest apples on the damn tree. The apple is so rotten, it's sitting there throwing things at you. And saying, well, I gotta keep him around. I want to respect him, man. Forget that. Start cutting that thing off. Get a chainsaw. Buzz through with it. And it's not about hating anybody. What I'm saying is that you have one life to live. Your time is the most important resource you have because it's the only thing in this universe that you cannot get more of. You cannot get more time. And it's cool to have a family tree of people who are just really great, groovy people and everybody gets it. Man, that's not realistic. It's very rare that you have a family where everybody gets it. You spend a whole bunch of time trying to drag folk. Niggas you used to know, some of y'all were married to them. You sitting up here trying to drag them, man. Forget all that. 2025, we're not dragging nobody. We're laying the law down. The other thing is, by the way, it's an exercise in futility. Yes, that's true, but also it is an insult. You know why? Because there are people out here who are ready. But it is too damn difficult to be dealing with you if you are determined to instead focus your energy on people who are not ready. Because you're comfortable doing that. You've become comfortable because you define yourself as being an ass kicker. You think that burnishes your credentials, that bolsters your credentials. Take a look at me. I can whoop niggas in the shape. Okay, nigga, this is not the army. You're not a drill sergeant. You don't get anything for that. First of all, you're not really whooping them in the shape. But second of all, even if you did, what do you get for it? There are a bunch of people out here right now who that's what they're looking for. That's what they're looking for in that regard. I'm going to say something here tonight. It's going to upset some people, but I'm going to go ahead and just say this here right now. I'm going to ask a simple question right here, right now. I'm asking this for a reason. I want to show something. In the chat room, to the females listening here tonight, if you're single, give me the diamond emoji in the chat room. I want to show you something. Don't be shy. I'm doing this for a reason. I've done this before. Don't be shy. I'm doing this for a reason. To the females in here, if you're single, give me the diamond emoji. Just one time, ladies. You're not going to do this 5 times. You're not going to do this 50 times. If you're a female in here, you're listening to me tonight and you're single, give me the diamond emoji. I'm showing you something. Okay, Sharon Thompson. Okay, I don't know. Not quite seeing what you're getting at, but okay. Now, there's a lot of diamonds around here. It's looking like Zales. We're looking like the De Beers family around here. Now, I want to show you this. To all of the men here who are single, to the men who are single, give me the money bag emoji in the chat room for the men who are single. We saw the females there. Now for the men who are single, give me the money bag emoji in the chat room for the men who are single. I'm doing that for a reason. I'm doing that for a reason. $2025, I'm doing this. I've never done this like this tonight, but I'm doing this like this tonight in 2025 for a reason. You saw how many diamonds came up. You saw how many money bags came up. What I'm saying here is nobody comes to my YouTube channel because they want to hear about their favorite rappers and they want to discuss the latest club drugs. Nobody comes here for that. Now, do you have some folk who ain't got their act together who are here? Yeah, you do. But here's my whole issue. By the way, ladies, think about this for a few moments. Ladies and gentlemen, let me talk to both of y'all right now. Ladies and gentlemen, based on what you just saw happening here in this chat room, whether you're here live or recorded, and if you're watching this recorded and weren't here live, you missed out. This is what you get for missing on it.
And deal with it.
Think about that for a few moments. You're looking all over the place for somebody who gets it. Most of y'all got somebody you with right now. You talking about you single. She means she's single while she's talking to me. She's not celibate. She say she's single, but she ain't celibate. And what I'm saying is, by the way, do you realize your real proximity there? Do you realize the real proximity? You take a look at how many diamond emojis there were. You take a look at how many money bag emojis there were, by the way. While you sitting up here trying to drag somebody who isn't ready. I just thought I would take a moment here to point it out to you that, by the way, while you sitting up here thinking you're smart and you're slick, dragging somebody who's not ready. How many years have you spent dragging somebody who doesn't even care about black empowerment? Let me explain something to you. Fellas, I gotta say something right now. After a decade and a half of doing this, a lot of you don't understand how important that is to black women. Particularly foundational, but a lot of y'all don't understand how important that is. Don't worry, for those of you in the Caribbean and Africa and whatnot, don't worry, we're going to get you right. We're going to get you right. Hang in there. Hang in there. But a lot of y'all do not understand how very important that is. These women don't want to be with no damn coon. What? I mean, it's the truth, man. I'm going to say something right now that's going to hurt your damn feelings. So it's 2025. Let's go ahead and clear the table on this. Pardon the expression. Fellas, the women don't want to be with no coon. If she's going to get a coon, why would she do that? Why don't she just go get her a straight white man? That's the way women think. And she's right. Why would she have a black coon who's a watered down white man wannabe? Why don't she just go get the real damn thing? If your woman is going to be with a coon who does not care about black people or black empowerment, why does she need to be with you? Why don't she just go get a straight white man? So she'll never have to hear from that, never have to think about that, because he ain't never going to do it. Black empowerment is important to them. Too many folk want to sit up here and dismiss that. I am Jason Black, and I'm telling you, this is a very important thing to the females. This is very important to them. There's a whole bunch of them right now who are, most of the women who just put those diamond emojis in that chat room, they've done it because they have not, to their satisfaction, found a man that they think is worth procreating with. If she's gonna let somebody sit up here and bust her womb open, she wants it to be for a fella who the legacy is worth carrying it for. They value that, man. They do. Too many fellas here don't even think about that kind of thing, but they do. I'm just telling you right now, that's a deal breaker for a lot of them. They just don't say it to you, but that's a deal breaker, man. That's a deal breaker. They gravitate to men who understand, they know our history, and I'm talking about recent history. They understand the social ramifications of it. He ain't just some nigga on the street corner babbling, yelling about crackers and this, that, and the other. The females, and that's not really what they're looking for, except for some dumb, dense ones. They're looking for a fellow who's got leadership in that area so that she's like, okay, this is worth making that move for. This is worth making that move for. In the chat room, Undisputed Truth, who is the sum you're referring to? Who's the sum you're referring to? I'd like to get some clarity there. Let me find out from Undisputed Truth who's the sum you're referring to. In 2025, I want y'all to understand where your people actually are. You think about what you just saw in this chat room here tonight, and I don't want you to forget that. It wasn't just one or two of them. It wasn't just one or two. You have a whole lot more people out here who are on the same page that you are on, or at least in the same damn book. There's a whole bunch of y'all got folk ain't even in the same library you're in. Well, they're willing to have sex, and they're not even having good sex, by the way. There's the killing part about it. It ain't really good. It ain't good sex. Okay, very glad to hear that. Undisputed Truth, you need to give me a call up on Zoom. Let me go ahead and throw this link up here in the chat room. Undisputed Truth needs to give me a call up here on Zoom. There's the link in the chat room. Undisputed Truth, I need you to go ahead and holler at me here on Zoom. We'll give you a few moments here to go ahead and call up here. We need to go ahead and parlay. We need to go ahead and have this conversation here. Let's go ahead and have this conversation. I want y'all to remember what you just saw in this chat room here, because there's a whole bunch of folk out here who are sitting up and they're trying to figure out which way is up, every which way but loose. You have a bunch of people who are not ready. You trying to drag them. And I just did this experiment to show you, by the way, there are folks who are actually ready. You have more proximity to folk who are actually ready than you think. You looking for something easy? Let me tell you, the simplest thing in the world is to find some doofus who don't know nothing and isn't going to contribute to take up your time. That's the easiest damn thing in the world. The easiest thing in the world is to find somebody who don't have a damn thing going they can help you with, and they sitting right there wasting your time. Easiest thing in the world. Easiest thing. Hardest thing is to sit up here and actually state some principles and say, you know what, my time is valuable. Let me make sure I'm not just giving it away to any old body. Oh, this person's not on the same page with me. Well, let me see if I can whoop them in the shade and get them straight. That's not what you do. Okay, I've got Louisiana Vel. I'm not sure if that's not Undisputed Truth. I'm not trying to holler at them. Louisiana Vel, I just need you to go ahead and turn your camera and your microphone on for me here. Just make sure we don't have any trolling issues. Nobody else will see you except for me. I'm the only person who will see you. But I can give you 5 seconds to go ahead and do that for me. Go ahead and turn your camera and your microphone on for me, just so we can make sure we don't have any trolling issues tonight. We can go ahead and do that. Go ahead and turn the microphone. Go ahead and turn on the light for me. You got me scared you're going to do the OnlyFans. All right. Now, who is this calling me?
Louis Lana.
Okay. I don't see you, sir. I don't see you, sir.
Oh, my bad. I'm asleep. But,
okay. No niggas is naked on here. Okay. All right.
Question. Hello?
Yes, sir.
All right, I had a question, but I don't know if it pertains to. Well, I mean, it kind of does, but I just had a question about what somebody else I was talking to earlier. All right, first question I had asked him is like, do you think what's going on with America and the Trump and everything that's going on, Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy and all them? Do you feel like, because I was watching Stephen A's podcast one day, he's talking to Sean Hannity. He's talking about how they can't seem to find like 13,000 of the immigrants or whatever. Do you feel like what's going on is like immigrant takeover due to, by way of, white people's hate for black people, and they just use that as a way to infiltrate, America? Do you feel like that's, a takeover going on? What's going on with?
Well, what you have are two conflicting interests. You have to be totally honest, you've got a power dynamic of three separate vectors. two on one end and one where they converge in the middle. So let me try to explain to you like this. You have the white proletariat, if you will, the working class, the middle class, the lower classes, who are the majority numerically. Then you've got the white oligarchy, the Elon Musks, the Bill Gates, your millionaires, your billionaires, or whoever are the power brokers where you live. So you've got them on the other end. Then you've got the system of white privilege in the middle. All of them are entitled to that system in the middle. All of them are trying to preserve that. But their interests are in conflict. The white proletariat is willing to tolerate illegal aliens, but only if absolutely necessary. If there's just something that absolutely must be done. They don't want them to be their competition. The oligarchy, they got theirs. They don't care if you ain't got yours. They're here to get it by any means necessary, including screwing these other folk over. So that's the two conflicting interests. One of you, this isn't working for you. The other one, it works out like a son of a gun. Okay, well, if we're both depending on white privilege, how do we reconcile this? Which is how you end up in the situation you're in today. The reason you can't deal with the illegal alien issue is because the only way to stop that from happening is you don't need to arrest the illegal aliens. You need to arrest the white folk who are bringing them here. The ones who are paying them when they get here.
Right. You
have to arrest them. Mass incarceration of them. You're talking about mass deportation. All you need is some mass incarceration. The folks who run these farms, Governor Pritzker up there in Illinois, the Hyatt family with these hotels and whatnot, the Hilton family. You start arresting some folks who do that like they do for black folk with drugs and anything else. We do something wrong, they quick to slap handcuffs on you. Hell, if you don't do something wrong, they quick to slap handcuffs on you. But they're not doing it with this. And understand, now I went through that big long explanation to say, by the way, who's protecting the oligarchs who are making money off of bringing illegals over here? Who's protecting them? The lower class and the middle class white folk. Jason, you mean the same people who said they got the issue with the illegals? Yes. They're protecting the oligarchs? Yes. Because they're not insisting on mass incarceration of them. They keep playing and nibbling around the edges talking about mass deportation. Knowing full well that that's not the solution, because the solution would be for them to put their uncles and the neighbors and stuff like that, the white people that they know who are benefiting from this. The solution is to prosecute them, and they're unwilling to do that part. So they're trying to find a way to fix it without actually substantially damaging the system of white privilege, which is what the solution I just gave. That would seriously damage it.
Right. So is what you're speaking about, it's like plutocracy or plutocrats or whatever? I think, because who I was talking about it was earlier, we were speaking about plutocrats, it was written like in 2013 or something like that. Is that kind of what you're hitting on?
I mean, when you're talking about systems of societal caste systems and societal privilege, I mean, there's a nuanced difference between plutocrats versus oligarchs. There's a nuanced difference, but I mean, there's a lot of similarities to it. So I get what you're saying. There's a lot of similarities to it. So in broad strokes, yes, you could consider them to be the same, because you can't be a plutocrat, who doesn't have some financial power and whatnot. It doesn't really work for you. Right. So, but you definitely, you can definitely kind of consider them to be in the same, on the same level as far as influence and as far as exclusivity. The exclusivity part of it, that's not a mass thing. It's only a few people who can become plutocrats. Only a few people can become oligarchs. Only a few people can become the aristocracy. The rest of you will be under them. And everybody loves talking about being a populist right up until you and I say, good, now let's go arrest those white folk up there in charge. Right. That's when the rank and file white person around you is going to be like, okay, I'm out. Soon as you say that. Now, if you say, let's go arrest Bill Cosby, they all going to come join you. But when you say, let's go get your people, all of a sudden the coalition falls apart.
Okay. All right. My second question is, so like I said, the person I was talking to earlier, I won't mention no names. So I was talking about, voting versus the couch and everything like that. I was speaking on it earlier because me personally, I ain't never moved, period. Because like I said, me personally, I'm like, it doesn't really make
we haven't really got anything. I won't say we haven't got anything out of it. What she was mentioning was like, okay, she said that the couch, she'll kick you off the couch, basically, saying like, oh, if we don't vote, we're gonna go looking for the Hispanics or the Latinos because we're not there. So being that we're not there, it's kind of, if you understand what I'm saying, she was kind of like hitting on, if we don't vote, we don't, like, how we always been hearing over the years, we don't have a voice. If we don't give them a reason, kind of what I was, if I'm understanding her correctly.
Okay, well, let me explain to you how that works, because whoever this person that you're talking about, she's partially correct. Mm-hmm. We definitely want to be registered to vote. The registration to vote is important because what it shows is that you are willing to. Now, that's why that's important, being registered, because both political parties keep track of how many registered voters they have versus turnout.
That's what she said. Okay.
So the first half of the equation, making sure you're registered, yeah, that's mandatory. The second half of the equation, well, now that you're registered, you're obligated to vote. Interesting concept you got there. Not really sure that's valid, but interesting concept you have. So I do agree with the first part. You definitely want to be registered. That's what sends the message, whether you vote or whether you don't.
So what is the significance? Because I also asked her, I said, do you think there was some importance? Like, do you think it was the ones that didn't vote, that there was, do you feel like that it kind of exposed, do you feel like there was some sort of significance around it? She's like, no, because, it doesn't really do anything or something like that. It's kind of what she was saying.
Okay, she said it doesn't do anything if you vote or if you don't?
No, if you don't vote. She like, okay, basically, she's a very pro advocate for voting.
Well, incorrect, because there's she can be are you an advocate for voting or are you an advocate for societal change, of which voting is simply one mechanism you can use for that? Please understand something, folks. I'm just going to be very brutally honest with you. Please understand something. When we talk about quote unquote voting, I don't want you to be confused of why quote unquote voting exists. When we talk about ways in which you organize a society, those classes that you mentioned there before, plutocrats, aristocrats, monarchs, you have all kinds of different ways you can organize a society. Plutocrats will really fall more in line with communism. But the point is, then you have democracy. Now, you've also got another way of organizing a society, and that is called direct conflict. In other words, power changes hands when folks start busting heads and shooting in the streets and so on and so forth. Right. Now, I suppose in a perfect fantasy world, if you could control the damn breakage, then I suppose that would be a viable way of running a society too. I think imagine if society was like the Purge. It's just like, okay, this is not very pleasant, but I suppose it could work, but damn, you'd have to limit the breakage. And what I'm saying is voting is a way of exchanging power without that other thing happening. Which is sometimes you do see that happen in countries and whatnot. It's like, okay, damn, a vote, let the shooting start. Well, like I say, you want to try to avoid that if you can. However, yeah, that's another way you can do things. So the democracy thing and the voting thing is a way in which to affect that without the breakage part of it. Now, here's the reason why it matters and why she's wrong. 2008, Barack Obama carried North Carolina. I'm just naming one. He carried North Carolina. 14 years later, neither Joe Biden nor Kamala Harris could. Think about that one thing for just a moment. Think about that one thing. Just the one. That's why she's wrong. The Democrats are very concerned about that because they're like, wait a minute. We carried that in 2008 and 2012. 2016, we can't carry it. They might have had in 2020, 2024, you lost it. So they're looking at, wait a minute, didn't we win North Carolina? Well, yeah, then why didn't we win it this time? Then they go looking for where were our voters who showed up in 2020? Where are our voters who showed up in 2008?
Okay.
So they do a retrospective on it. They always do. So that's why she's wrong. If you showed up and then you stopped showing up, they're looking for you.
Basically, you're saying there's power in not voting.
Correct.
So like kind of like how, you know, they want Obama when Obama got elected, all the
it's like going on strike.
turnout.
It's like going on strike.
Right.
You were faithful employees. You showed up, and then one week you didn't show up at all. Wait a minute. You didn't even call in sick. No call, no show. And next thing you know, it's like you work at McDonald's. You own the McDonald's franchise. Your workers didn't show up, and the damn Burger King employees are sitting in your kitchen making Whoppers. It's like, wait a minute. How did this happen? Because your people didn't show up.
So, okay. So being that you explained it that way, it makes me understand it. It makes me wonder what is her real spirit. I don't want to mention her name, but it just made me wonder her real spirit. Okay, if you put it that way, why is she advocating for it so much?
Well, if she's trying to convince you that you have an obligation to vote, well, that certainly makes it easier for her. And if she's aligned with a specific political party, it certainly makes it easier for them to convince you, coerce you into doing something you're not motivated to do. If you were motivated to vote, nobody would have to ask you. You'd already be there. The problem is you are unmotivated. So they're trying to get you to vote, which is in their best interest, even though you are unmotivated, which motivation is in your best interest. So how do I get you to do something you ain't motivated to do?
It's their interest. It's their job to do it.
It is a politician's job to motivate you. Okay, but you've talked to them and they are failing to suggest a single thing that's motivating you to vote. So what are they left with? Shaming tactics, threatening, coercion, duplicity, everything except the one thing they're supposed to be doing. Why don't you talk to me like you do the LGBT, the Jewish folk, the Asians? Why don't you give me something like you've given them so I actually have something to vote for? You as a black voter are the only voter that people are saying you need to show up and there ain't nothing there for you. No one, they're not obligated to give you anything. Everybody else, Ukrainians, non-citizens, we're going to give them something. You're supposed to just show up because it's the groovy thing to do.
Right. Okay, you explain. Okay. I got you.
And furthermore, you never show up to vote for nothing.
Yeah.
Never. That's malfeasance.
That don't make any sense to me. Never makes sense to me.
Thank you very much for giving us a call. That is malfeasance. Do not let somebody play the Negro mind trick on you and sit up here and tell you that you have to vote on some sort of symbolic principle. Well, it's the principle of the thing. Principle me ass. I don't know where Undisputed Truth is. Undisputed Truth needs to be here. If he's not the next person here on Zoom, permanent vacation. Let me go ahead and get back over here on Zoom. I got Bando here on Zoom. Okay, another naked nigga. All right, Bando, you're on Zoom. What's on your mind? Okay, he wanted to show me he's not completely naked. Okay, turn your audio on, dude. Y'all, if y'all knew what it's like for me, it's half of LGBT OnlyFans over here. When I turn on Zoom, I don't know what's gonna happen when I turn the cameras on. I'm just, oh boy. Sometimes I wonder what niggas be thinking when they call me. Okay, if you got like headphones in, you might want to take those out or something, Bando. Sometimes if y'all got like headphones or whatever like that, that might be tripping you up. There you go.
Yeah, I figured it out. Appreciate it.
All right, what's on your mind?
Honestly, I was calling in because I was very intrigued by the title, the Black Agenda for 2025. Man, I'm just glad to see that we come together more and more as the years go on. After seeing all the bullshit that just happened during this election, I appreciate you, Black Authority. It was funny because Fat Joe kind of lightweight called you out when he was talking shit the other day on that podcast. So I was just like, the foundational
Yeah.
black authority. I'm like, what is this nigga trying to say? Black authority or for foundational black American? Either way,
Yeah, like I said, I mean, look, they have to acknowledge it. The memos are gone. If you all knew just how many memos go out about, particularly, me, it would astonish you. It'd blow your mind. They talk about it. They speak about it. Listen to me. You don't get to come see Kamala Harris and Joe Biden at the White House if you ain't on the team. You don't get to do that. So Fat Joe, Beyonce, Quavo, dude, they all been in the White House. They're on the team. But you don't get to be on the team unless you assure them that you know the talking points, you know the agenda, and you with it. That last part's the critical part. And you're with it. Because if you ain't with it, understand something. You show up at a Kamala Harris rally, they hand you the microphone. You saw what happened with Cardi B. She could have said anything. They turned the teleprompter off. She literally stopped talking. I'm so glad you gave me a call so I can point this out. When they turned the teleprompter off on her, she literally stopped talking. She didn't say anything else. What does that tell you? That's like a wind-up doll. They literally knew that if she is not going to say a word unless we give her the words to say. Brother, that's safe. Because imagine what would happen if half of Jason Black showed up there at that place with a microphone in his hands. Completely unconcerned about ever being invited back to another one of these things. Imagine what you could do with that kind of opportunity sitting there in front of you, and you're not afraid to make an awkward moment. They don't want that. So Beyonce came out there because they knew, not they hope, not they wish, not they guess. They knew she ain't going to say anything we didn't tell her not to say. She's not going to say a word that we didn't tell her to say. That we didn't tell her to say. That's convenience. That's the type of solid behavior, solid character they need. That's what you got to be. So Fat Joe being at the White House and meeting Kamala Harris, dude, that's it. He's on the team. He's on the team, which means they've also had to talk with him about, do you know who the bad folk are? Oh, yeah. Them folk over there, this guy on Twitter there, Black Authority, whatever the hell his name is, that guy there. Yes, they get the talking points. They go around because Lord forbid you show up someplace and you don't know that we're the undesirables. Imagine you do that. Case in point, you see Kamala Harris and them running around with Fat Joe. Have you seen them running around with Nas? Oh, I wonder why that is. Could it be because Nas has been associated with the new black media? Could it be that? Oh, well, Nas is no longer trustworthy. Yeah, isn't that interesting? You're no longer trustworthy. We're not going to have that. So you start seeing things like that. And yes, I know some of y'all might try to say my son. Like I say, and he wasn't the politically heavy one. His, you know who is. So that's the person who's really leading in that regard. Not just commentating, that's the one who's actually active about it. So just think about that for a few moments. They know who's solid. They know who's on the team. They know who they don't have to worry about saying something out of turn. And they know the loose cannons. And you need to let them know that you know who they are too. Now, what's happened is very obvious. The election was over. I told y'all they sent them out. I guess we shouldn't be too surprised. I was fully expecting that they would have doubled down on more politicians doing it. That's what I was looking for. I was looking for them to send out more politicians to just do a full frontal assault. And by the way, that's still in play. That's still possible. But no, they sent Fat Joe. I guess they figured send somebody from the culture. He'll go talk to somebody in the podcasting who we can trust once again. You hear this all over MSNBC. Who's the next Joe Rogan? We need the next Joe Rogan. We need the next Tim Pool. That's what they're saying over there in white society. Okay, but what are their black Democratic operatives saying? We need a solution to the black channel. We need a solution to Tariq. We need that. Hey, there's this guy named Matt Hoffa. I don't think he's gonna say anything out of turn. Let's see if we can get one of our people over there to go take it to them. Quote unquote, on their turf. That's what happened. And it went about as well as you could expect. But they sent that trial balloon out there to see how it would float. It didn't float very well at all. Not at all. Well, Jason, ain't they concerned about him? Dude, you're disposable. Joe is disposable. His job, as far as they're concerned, his job is to go down in flames for the party. You're disposable. Simple as that.
And yeah, what I wanted to ask you is, based off of what just happened last year, as far as going into 2025, like, what do you recommend for, like, as far as the Black agenda for a lot of the people that's just on the grassroots? What can they be doing more to really, build us up and unite us going forward?
First and foremost, I know it sounds incredibly minor, but what you're doing right now, that's the important thing here. That's the important thing. I know it seems trivial, but what I'm saying is that a lot of folk don't understand the power of getting on code. Getting on code is not a bunch of people sitting around talking about Black unity. That's the part that is so deceptive. Getting on code starts with one simple thing, brother. You showing up and being quiet and listening. You showing up every week at some place. I don't give a damn where the place is. When you show up at a place on a regular basis and you are being seen, that matters. That matters. That matters if that's what you're giving your time to. That matters if that's what you're making time for. You're showing up on a holiday here in the middle of the damn night, looking like shopping ranks with dreads. That matters, dude. That's measured. That's measured. Well, not shopping ranks, y'all. You actually look like Quavo with glasses. So actually, he's looking like Quavo in here with glasses, y'all. So if a chick is interested in dating one of the Migos stunt doubles, Bando is ready if you want the Migos stunt double. But being on code, brother, is when you show up at the place and listen like that. That's what they measure with Joe Rogan. Joe Rogan's audience, brother, they're not giving money. Spotify is paying that bill. YouTube is paying that bill. The folks who tune in, they're not giving him money. So what is he getting? Dude, the fact that they're showing up and sitting and listening, he can hold them and they will sit and be quiet for 2, 3, 4 hours. That's what makes him pivotal and influential to them. We come over here with us and y'all like, wait a minute, we need to do a whole lot more than that. Jason, when we gonna start building this pyramid over here? And what I'm saying is, I know it sounds minor. Please understand the fact that you show up every week with consistency and you just you sitting and listening, that is a revolutionary act right there. That's the warning sign and the alarms going off right there. Right there. Because one thing, I can get you to come over here and listen to me for this. They can't get you to come over there and listen to them for anything. And they need you to do that. Brother, voting doesn't cost you anything. You don't get charged to vote. It's free. It doesn't cost you anything. You can mail in your damn ballot. You don't even go, and yet you won't do it. And what they're trying to deal with is, why is it you won't do that? Oh, you're listening to, the foundational Black authority. You're listening to him. You found something that you value more than voting? Whoa. Well, that's on code. I know it just seems simple. That's on code. You sitting here and listening and knowing why you're doing it. It seems so simple. It seems so minor. It seems so trivial. I assure you it's not. Brother, there are multi-billion-dollar think tanks paid for by the Democrats and Republicans, dedicated to figuring out how to get you to stop doing exactly what you're doing right now. They want you to listen to Candace Owens. They want you to listen to Officer Tatum. They want you to listen to Tucker Carlson. They want you to listen to Joy Reid. They want you to listen to Sesame Street, The Man in the Moon, anything and everybody except what you're doing right now. They're literally spending hundreds of millions of dollars trying to figure out how to do that. Now they've been reduced to coming out and just saying it openly. Hey, how are we going to get a Joe Rogan or a Tim Pool or a black channel? How are we going to do that? Now, if they really were smart, they would just come and ask you why you're doing it. If they were smart, they would come and have a conversation with you. But they don't want to do that because they already know what you're going to say. And just like I said to the previous caller, they're trying to figure out how to get that reaction from you without doing what they know you're going to tell them. Can I get you to vote for me without doing that? How about I put a game plan for something else? And you're like, yeah, I'm not feeling that. I ain't hearing it. So why start the conversation? Let's just see if we can figure out some way to bamboozle you. But it's getting harder to do that. You're on code right now. Your presence here is on code. Can we keep you consistent is the only thing. Time will tell.
Yeah, see, I've definitely been very motivated over these last 6 months to be consistently online, listening to, between you and other FBAs, because I think it was just that moment when the Tulsa, Oklahoma victims didn't get what they deserved back in like May or April in that court case. So the motivation is definitely there for me. And I think just at this point, I'm trying to get a lot of other people in my generation to just come in and listen. Recently I was attacked for even doing that by the Black community. So,
well, look, we're not a mass market product yet, but then again, I don't want us to be. I know, sounds antithetical. Well, Jason, how can you lead with that? Brother, I've done this now for decades. I don't know how long you've been listening to us here.
Yeah, so it's been since June of this year.
Okay. Well, you're relatively new then, because I've been doing this going on 2 decades. I put all this out to my longtime listeners. What you're about to hear is what they've been hearing from me for going on 2 decades. There was a study that was done once that showed the critical number of people that you need to get to be able to change anything in a society. And what researchers found that once a particular movement or popular opinion reaches 10%, it basically becomes an inevitability that this will become the position of the majority of the society. Majority does not mean all. Majority does not mean all. Majority does not mean 80%. Majority simply means 51%. But I found when I saw that study, because I wanted to know what the exact number was. Fortunately for me, there was a study that was being done at the same time that showed that they researched like if a specific position in society reaches 10%, it becomes almost an inevitability that it will become the majority position in that society. Well, what did you just tell us? I don't have to convince 50% of people to do this. I just need 10. If I get the 10 will have the influence over the other 40. And what have you seen happen? It's taken a decade and a half, but what do you see occurring? The math is working out. It didn't say it's going to happen overnight. No, that's not what they said. It doesn't happen overnight. But that's the way that happens. In your case, it was Tulsa, Oklahoma. In other people's cases, it might have been Trayvon Martin. In other people's cases, it might have been Bruce's Beach. In other people's cases, it might have been George Floyd. I've been here for all of them. We got something I'm getting ready to do here involving Robert Brooks up there in New York. So for everybody else, because we're always under assault and under attack, so this might be your coincidence in time of meeting it. But there's always something happening. I don't want you to be worried or concerned about us being a mass product, because the other problem is if I ever looked up one day and I had a following of 10 million people, I would know something's wrong. Right then, right there, I'm like, wait a minute, what are all you people doing here? I remind you all, it's like Fight Club. What Brad Pitt say, you say, okay, then Number one rule of Fight Club is we don't talk about Fight Club, but I see so many new members here, so very clearly a bunch of you been breaking rule number one. Large movements always fall victim to apostasy and heresy. In your relentless pursuit of making the church as large as it can be, you're going to bring in a bunch of self-serving individuals who are there with ulterior motives. You want to keep something powerful, you keep it small. Small but influential. That's the way you want to move. You're a small group, but your small group is disciplined on code. You're all true adherents to the faith. You are all fully vested. You're not there with ulterior motives. All of y'all are on the same page. And then you have influence over the folks outside of your numbers. But you don't want the folks outside of your numbers being brought in to lead. Because if that was the way it worked, you wouldn't have to bring them in. It'd already be there. So they'll have their own reasons for doing that. You want to have a small core of elite people who can influence others. That's what you want to have. If I can get you to be comfortable not being quote unquote the majority, if I can get you to be comfortable being influential without being the numerical majority, without you feeling that you're deficient because most folk ain't here with us. Brother, let me tell you right now, I would shut down the Black channel tomorrow with the hundreds of thousands of folk who are here. I would shut this thing down tomorrow if I had a following of 5 people. Y'all are not going to like this. I would get rid of everybody who's listening right now. I would shut it down and stop y'all tonight if I had 5. I would trade in hundreds of thousands of you all for just 5. Jason, just 5? Hell yeah. Bill Gates, Warren Buffett, Bill Ackman, Elon Musk, the 5 richest people in the world. If that's the 5 people I'd be talking to every week, done. Think about that for a few moments. How much you have an audience of those 5? Jeff Bezos, you have an audience of those 5. But Jason, you had hundreds of thousands of us. Now you're just talking to 5 people. You got 5 subscribers now. If you knew who my 5 were. So when you think about it in those terms, if I can get you all to understand having large numbers may emotionally comfort you, but a large number of powerless people is useless. What you really want is a strong core of powerful people. That way you don't have to worry about folks flipping on you and this, that, and the other. You all are disciplined. You can move that way. And the aristocracy and plutocracy that my previous caller was referring to, that's why they've been around for thousands of years. Because they're exclusive. Their influence is widespread, but they don't let the widespread folk come in. And by the way, they're comfortable not being in the majority. They're comfortable being by themselves. Now that's their real power. They don't desire to be a mass market product.
Hey, yeah, no, that was some real game right there. I actually just soaked that up because when you think about it, less is really more. And you really need real generals and leaders around you so you could really push something as opposed to just having, powerless people just around lollygagging, not really getting anything done. So I appreciate that.
Thank you very much for giving us a call. It's very easy to have a lot of people around you. It comforts you because I want y'all to understand the idea of having more people around you that it makes you right or it reassures you. That's the problem, man. That's the problem right there, is the desire to be reassured. Well, if I have more people around me, that means I'm right. No, it just means you have more people around you. Well, if we have more people around us, it means we're stronger. Not necessarily. It means you have more people around you. I don't know if those people around you are making you stronger. Now, if they are disciplined, that's different. In the chat room, Free Melanated Woman said MAGA will turn into heresy. It's already there. I covered this for the last couple weeks. The breakdown with Vivek Ramaswamy and Elon Musk and whatnot is already there. It was happy, shining people holding hands at the convention. Now that as soon as the election is over, they are pulling out the knives and the axes on each other because everybody's got their own idea about what the true faith is and what a true believer is and what a true believer must be. And please understand, eventually they're going to pull their knives on Trump too. He's already attacked Chip Roy, Representative Chip Roy, and a few others. He's going around talking about primarying people and whatnot. So just understand, as I predicted the whole time, eventually they're going to pull their knives on him too. Eventually they're going to do a Brutus to Caesar on him. They're going to get him before it's over. Some of them are going to be politically safe and they're going to start barking against him, and they're going to get him before it's over. Just like they did in 2020. Because please understand, there were just as many Republicans that were happy that Trump lost in 2020 as Democrats. When he tried to run again in 2024, you saw Mitt Romney and Mitch McConnell and a bunch of the rest of them like, yeah, anybody but him. There were just as many Republicans who were happy that they lost in 2020. They haven't forgotten. They haven't changed. You have a whole group of folk. Some of them want to do. You have extremists who tried to get together with so-called moderates and whatnot, and they're not going to get along. They're not. There are too many people with too many divergent ideas. He won the election because a small core of people had influence over the masses. Now they're losing the narrative and losing cohesion because the large group now has influence over the large group. Let me explain to you all something about humanity. This is something that you will find unsettling, but it's actually truthful. Mankind is supposed to be weak. What? But it's true. People are supposed to be weak. Could you imagine what kind of world we would be in if people actually had the amount of power that they claim they want to have? Comic books are nice and entertaining to read, but could you imagine if there were people running around here with the powers of Spider-Man and the Rhino and Aquaman and Wonder Woman? Could you imagine what type of world we'd be in? It'd be unlivable. It would be impossible. Think about something as basic as eternal life. Could you imagine a planet full of people who ain't die? Vladimir Putin ain't gonna die. Damn! Think about that one thing by itself. Just that one. He's gonna always be here. Okay, then get a bunch of... Think about everybody you know having that ability. Think about if everybody in your life you knew, they were never gonna die. They're just gonna live. They're just going to keep living. There's a bunch of y'all right now saying, oh, hell no, that ain't going to work. There's a bunch of you who never thought of yourself as a really vicious person who didn't want somebody else to live. But I'm telling you right now, you take a look at the folk at your job. Would you want all of them to live forever? All of them? Including your manager. He gets to go too. Including that chick back there in accounting and human resources. She gets to go with you. You don't just get to live forever. They're going to be there too. Could you imagine that? Somebody said, not near me. Yeah, you're like, wait a minute, that's too much for them. No, they're going to screw this. They're bad enough with the limited number of years they got. Could you imagine empowering them with an unlimited number of years? Could you imagine if you gave them an unlimited number of years? You can already see, it would be havoc. It would be havoc. Imagine Richard Spencer, unlimited number of years. Tucker Carlson, unlimited number of years on the same planet with you and your kids. Well, that's what happens when the individual is disproportionately empowered. You find out real quick that folks, the masses, independently empowered and not given the right intellectual and social tools and whatnot, it becomes a mess fast. This is the reason why the founders in America did not want a direct democracy. They said it's a democratic republic, but it's not a direct democracy. And the reason that they didn't do that was because if you have a direct democracy, you have the tyranny of the masses. The masses will simply vote for themselves all the creature comforts that they want and cause a big mess of it, which is actually what you still see developing today with things like Social Security and other stuff. But democracy doesn't work because empowering the individual goes astray. People don't know how to handle power as a group, as an individual. You empower an individual, and then next thing you know, they want to pull everybody else out of line. So if you've got them out there, but they're, and I use the word weak, but what I really mean is they're not overly powerful. They're kind of just leveled out. Sometimes they're a little bit stronger than usual, but they're never strong enough where one person can just sit here and overturn the damn table on everybody else. Right now, MAGA is already falling apart because all the people who joined the coalition, you've got basically 80 million special interest groups. They say it's 80 million voters. It's 80 million special interest groups. And each individual is now saying things need to be my way. So when they wanted to get Trump in office, it was we gon' work, things need to be our way. Now that he's there, everybody's fighting to say things need to be my way. So that's the reason why I won't make it. Because they're now saying that they are bigger than the party. They are bigger than the people. As an individual, I should be able to say what's going on here. That's why it's already over. It's already over. It's very, very easy to promise folks those kind of things right there, especially when they don't have any power. It's very easy to accommodate people who don't have any power. It's okay, you're harmless. It's another thing to empower them and now they got something. "2025, I want you to stop being afraid of your power. Going forward in 2025, you will not be afraid of yours. You've already got a taste of what that feels like. Feels kind of good. Let me tell y'all, it was a bunch of folk in 2020 here at the Black Channel and whatnot. I mean, there was a few of y'all, you were dejected. Oh, man, this nigga just talking. Man, we ain't worried about that right there. Ain't nothing gonna happen. 4 short years later, Jason, I always knew you could do it. Kind of interesting. Kind of interesting. And what I'm saying is consistency matters. Knowing your power and not being afraid of it matters. I didn't have everyone call Pace University because I was trying to troll anybody. That was not my point. I saw a bunch of people sitting up there online and they were doing things that made them feel good, but it wasn't actually changing anything. Everybody was trying to go at him. I simply said, we need to make an adjustment. Let me tell you where you really need to be going. Folks did that. Next thing you know, within an hour or two, it was over. Within an hour or two, it was over. And old boy was already tapping out. It was over. I want you to stop being afraid of your power. During George Floyd, I was the guy who told everybody, hey, we need to be ready to bail folks out in mass around here. Shut the prosecutors down across the country. Don't be afraid of your power. Don't be afraid of it. That doesn't mean you go around doing squirrely things. I don't want you going to your job wearing your Black First t-shirts. I don't want you going to the job throwing up the black fist. Don't do none of that. But what I'm saying is don't stop being afraid of how capable you actually are. Stop telling yourself that you can't get anything done. You may not be all powerful. Then again, you don't have to be. You cooperate with other people and you're more powerful than you thought you were. The reason Fat Joe is apoplectic today is because he saw what a group of organized people could do and that it wasn't a fad that died out in 2014 or 2015. It has been consistent. Now you've got real changes. A whole bunch of folk were saying what wasn't going to occur. Take a look at California talking about reparations. People, do you realize that was a win? I want y'all to understand that Gavin Newsom, Bill O'Reilly is saying it now. It's already over for him. It's already over. The bait and switch ain't gonna work. They're already saying it. It's already done. Everybody knows he thinks he's gonna run in 2028. No, you're not. If you try, it's already over, dude. You're not gonna be able to hoodwink like you did previously. That's not going to occur this time. Okay, but that is a direct result of us keeping eyes on him. He thought name, image, likeness, and Bruce's Beach was going to get him off the damn hook. And we were like, oh, hell no. And that was damned smart. What you all did was damn smart. That he didn't just throw a bone out there and then you go home. Hell no. It's like, dude, look here. We ain't here to get the bone. We're here to go get the whole damn spare rib. We're here for the whole spare. We got to get all of it. As soon as they give you something, you right back at the door. Hey, need some more? You ain't done yet. That's how you end up getting taken for granted. When they can just throw you one bone and now you're eternally grateful. They giving everybody else the damn spare ribs and giving everybody else the whole damn fish and giving everybody else the whole damn plate, and they threw you a bone. And they're telling you, here, chew on this bone for the next 80 years. These other folk, they give them some spare ribs. As soon as they finish munching down on it, they're like, cookie! Oh, okay, you got some more? You got some more? Cookie! I need some more. Hey, you got some more?
Welcome to Good Burger, home of the Good Burger.
You got some more?
Your order?
Every time you turn around, they write back. He gave them something, and then they write back the very next damn day. You know, I need some. Hey, that was real nice what you did, but you know, I need some more. You know, I need some more now. These other folk, man, you don't just throw them a bone and then they go home. They're like, okay, you threw me one bone. Where's the next one? These other folk are always like, where's the next one? Where my next bone at? Do not be afraid of your power. In California, we did a brilliant move out there. He did all that stuff, and then we still said, no, reparations or nothing. This is how you keep folk taking you seriously. You keep them on their toes, and you don't have them taking you for granted. It's like, no, you got to drop it off. You got to drop it off. But I gave you that before, dude. That was yesterday. I'm talking about today. You need to keep focused over here. Catch up, my dude. You talking about what you did last year. I can't eat what you did last year. I can only eat what you put on this plate today. If you didn't put it on this plate today, it don't count. What you did last year, that's what carried you last year. What you do today is what you gonna get judged on today. And let me tell you folks, that's exactly the way you deal with politicians and government. That's exactly the damn way you deal with them. You know why? Because when it's time for you to pay your taxes, you don't get credit for what you paid last year.
And deal with it, nigga.
When it's time for you to pay your taxes, when it's time for you to deal with the government, when it's time for you to register something, you don't get credit for what you did last year. When it's time to do your car registration, you don't get credit for what you did last year. You got the money today, you got what you need today, or it don't count. Imagine walking into the DMV. Well, I don't have the money to pay my registration, but I have paid my registration faithfully for the last 20 years. Last year, I paid my registration early. They're going to sit there and say, okay, thank you very much for last year. You late this year. So you got your sticker last year. If you want a sticker this year, then you have to pay this year. You don't get credit this year for what you did last year. Now they quick to tell your ass that in California, paying the rent, paying the mortgage. New York City has a damn city tax. They quick to tell you what you can't get, you don't pay that. Got a whole damn city income tax. They quick to tell you what you ain't gonna get and what you can't have. And why last year doesn't matter. Okay, well, if it was good for the goose, it's good for the damn gander. If I don't get to come to Gavin Newsom and trade on what I did last year, he does not get to come to me and trade on what he did last year. Dude, that was last year. I'm talking about 2025. What's going down now? And folks, you have to be bold with it. Shout out to all my folk up there in Chicago kicking up dust and making noise. Let me tell y'all, that's the best thing we've been doing. You sit up here, you go to City Hall, they being loud, they being proud, they are not backing down from it, they're not soft shoeing it, they're not soft peddling it, they got all their facts and figures and their talking points together, they making noise, they're creating awkward moments. Brandon Johnson feels awkward as a mug up there in Chicago right now. That's exactly what you need to do to let them know you are not going to sit quietly and politely anymore. Yeah, we're not going to voice our grievances behind closed doors. We will discuss our solutions behind closed doors, but we will not express our grievances behind closed doors. No, because that's letting you off the damn hook. We play that behind closed doors thing, and then you come out from behind closed doors and pretend we didn't say nothing. Oh, don't worry, they're okay. Everything's fine. No, it's not. No, it's not. We got to be there with it. So part of accepting our power is that we make some awkward moments. Folks didn't like it in Atlanta. I bought billboards on Keisha Bottoms. But I wanted to let them know, damn it, we're serious. Yes, the city's on fire and this, that, and the other. We need unity. No, we don't. We need empowerment. Keisha Bottoms, I did not come to Atlanta to get unity. I came to get power. And you are not where it needs to be right now. You got to go. Chicago, drunk Uncle Lightfoot Lori. Jason Black comes booming into town and says, Lori Lightfoot, reparations or resign. She said, I'm not going to resign. I'm like, baby, you ain't got to. You ain't going to get reelected. Too much heat on you. This is what emboldened their enemies to come after them when they see that, by the way, they've lost the grassroots. There won't be any negative backlash. We bypass the corporate media and let everybody know, hey, we ain't got their damn backs. We do not have their backs. Don't let them fool you into thinking we got their backs. No, we don't. Next thing you know, these folks weren't afraid of them anymore. They wasn't worried about it. Things went bad from there. It went bad from there. Wasn't afraid to make some awkward moments. Wasn't afraid to put some folk on Front Street. Wasn't afraid to call it out for what it is. That's not what they're used to. They're used to the bootlicking civil rights generation going along to get along even when everything's screwed up. Came and met us and realized, oh, this won't work ever again. I'll be damned. Well, this won't be working. That's power, people. Setting your own agenda, not letting other folks tell you what it is. Brandon Johnson up there talking about raising property taxes. What, they want to raise $100 million? Folks said, hell no. In the old days, well, you know, he's a black man. We got to support. The hell we do. The hell we do. Man, they done shot down every damn thing he was saying. Got their damn attention. Here's the other reason, folks. There's a reason why you have to kick ass sometimes. The reason why you have to kick ass is because this will prevent you from having to kick somebody's ass in the future. When they all see what you do to Brandon Johnson, when they see that you all are willing to take him out in the middle of the street and break him a new ass, you're not going to have to tell the next one. The next person who wants your support, once they see you went gangster on Brandon Johnson, the next guy who wants your support will take you seriously right out the gate. You're not going to have to fight and argue with him as much because he saw what you did to the last guy. He saw you ain't playing around. He saw what you did to the last one. That's how you get the next one to have some act right. He gonna come in the door like, I don't want the smoke. I don't want no trouble. Let's make this deal. I ain't trying to get the smoke with you. Because you let him know, oh, we gonna bring it from day one. This is how you prevent yourself from having to do this all the time. Now, please understand, you're gonna have to whoop ass more often than you don't. It's always gonna be somebody trying to be slick and try to get over on you. So just be aware, you need to walk around with your paddle. No diddy. But you need to walk around ready to spank somebody at all times. You have to be ready for that. You have to be. But when folks see you ready to go gangster, then they're going to be far less likely to test you the next time you tell them, by the way, if you come at me funny, I'm going to make an awkward moment. That's serious. That's serious. Barack Obama is scared to death right now because at 14 years later, he sat up here and realized, I'll be damned, it ain't as sweet as he thought it was. 16 years later, it's not as sweet as he thought it was. It wasn't as sweet as he needed it to be. Folks didn't just sit up here and mumble behind the scenes that he wasn't right and that was a con job he ran. Folks are telling him to his face now. He went out there trying to lean on folks and it didn't work. Let me explain to you all why that's a deadly thing for him. Come a little bit closer here, folks. Follow me, follow me, follow me, follow me. Understand something. All the, quote, favors that Barack Obama has received since he left office, that was all predicated on the fact that he could bring home the bacon. He could make it rain. He could keep us in line. So long as he was the supernatural Negro whisperer, that's why folks gave him the big bucks. That's why they paid him attention, because seemingly he could keep us in line like nobody else could. He spoke and we listened. He said jump and we went up into the air and awaited further instructions. At least that was the impression that he gave them. To have such a public defeat and refutation of him, where he put all his chips out there and black folk ignored him. We ignored that. Don't you know the folk who stood up here and cake it off for him, they saw that. They saw that. They saw that he couldn't move us. They saw that he went out there and he tried the most shameless shaming tactics and it didn't work. That we were no longer concerned that whether he approved of us or not. Don't you know the folk who he wants to be important to? They saw that and they're like, dude, what they're going to tell him is, man, you don't have any influence among your own people. Why do we have to be afraid of you? What are you going to do? You can't even get your people to come and vote. You went out there, made an open appeal, and they dismissed you. You're going to threaten us? How are you going to threaten us? We saw you get your ass handed to you by your own people. How are you going to threaten us? Don't you understand that? Just as assuredly is all of you. If you saw, for example, let's just say, for example, if you saw Donald Trump in the election, he lost Texas, he lost Mississippi, he lost Pennsylvania. If you saw that happen during the election, and then he comes around talking about, well, if you need to keep supporting me because, I bring home the bacon. What's the first thing? Man, you lost Texas. You couldn't even deliver Texas. You couldn't even deliver Nevada. It's very clear. You ain't got the stroke you used to have. Who do you think you're threatening? You're going to primary me? Man, you can't even win Nevada. Who are you threatening? Yeah, I watched the election returns. You didn't even win Nevada. You didn't win Arizona. You didn't win Texas. Who you threatening? Who you think you threatening, guy? Why do I have to be worried about you? What are you going to do? I watched the returns. What are you going to do? Just like that's the reaction all of you would have if Trump had lost, for example, Nevada and Texas, and he come back talking about how he gonna flex on you. You're like, man, you lost Nevada and Texas. Who you think you faking gangster with? That's the same way they're looking at Obama now. The folks who want to support him are looking at him saying, man, you can't deliver it now. Take a look at Kamala Harris. Kamala Harris, baby, you can't bring the folk now. Gavin Newsom is looking more and more like that. You can't deliver the vote now. You can't deliver the support now. You can't do it today. You can't do it for yourself. So you can't organize support for yourself. How the hell you think you're going to organize support against me? You couldn't help Kamala Harris win. How are you going to organize somebody against me? "2025, we're going to be objective. 2025, we're going to choose targets. 2025, we're going to let them know we don't worry about election years. Although I am going to tell you all something. It is much more important what you do in non-election years. What? It is far more important what you do during non-election years. Non-election years are where you set the groundwork and you set the frame for the election year. The election year is just fight night. The non-election years is training camp. If you are training in training camp during the non-election years, then you're ready to fight during the election year. But what you're able to do during the election year is going to be the culmination and the result of everything you did during the non-election years. Folks, we here no matter what's happening. I am here in election years. I am here in non-election years. We continue working and continue pushing no matter what. These other folks sit up here and parachute in during the election year and don't realize that they're not coming here and starting a conversation. See, that's what they thought they were doing. Barack Obama thought he was starting a conversation. Kamala Harris thought she was starting a conversation. The reality is the conversation had begun before they even got there. They were parachuting into the middle of a pre-existing conversation that was already underway. And they didn't know it. So it's like somebody coming into a theater an hour into the movie. The movie's been going for an hour and they just walk into the movie theater. Dude, you're already in the middle of an already pre-existing conversation. You're not going to undo that. We're leading the conversation. We're leading the discussion. You're going to have to sign up for this. You don't get to come in here. You're not starting a conversation with us. You're interrupting a conversation that's already underway, already in progress. And you didn't even know what we were talking about. Well, actually, you did know what we were talking about. You figured you were going to derail it. How'd that work out? "2025, we're going to be doing things differently. Or should I say, by differently, we're going to be doubling down on what we've already done. We've set a successful template. We have set an effective one. You've had folks who didn't think it was going to get this far along. It's way further along than they thought it was going to be. They thought these things were a fad. They found out the wrong damn way. No, it's not. This is a way of life. Politicians may come and go, but black empowerment is forever. This is a way of life. And we do not have temporary agendas. This is permanent. This is permanent. I'd like to go ahead and throw one more thing out there. 2025, we are doubling down on what it means to be on code and with us. As I explained here before, when I was talking about some of these other folk over there, when we're talking about the Fat Joe program that I did, we sitting up here talking about black empowerment. You talking about Jamaican empowerment. You talking about Trinidadian empowerment. You're sitting up here trying to distinguish yourself. Let's be very, very clear about something here. The reason why we put a full stop on that is because hyphenating your identity is the same as marrying a woman who hyphenates her name.
And deal with it, nigga.
You are either going to be Mrs. Black or you ain't going to be nothing. You don't get to be Mrs. Jones Black. You're either going to be Mrs. Black or you're nothing. You don't get to be over here under me, under my blanket of protection and provision, and you Mrs. hyphen whatever else, and then Mrs. Black. No. No, either I get the whole thing or I don't want any of it. Either I get the whole thing or I don't want any of it. If you are black Jamaican, if you are black Hispanic, if you are black Trinidadian, if you're a black Caribbean, you're black Nigerian, and no, if you're going to hyphenate your name, you're going to hyphenate your identity, you just stay over there. Just stay over there. Either you are all in with us. In other words, it does not require hyphenation, and it certainly does not require distinction. If you're distinguishing yourself from us, you're on another team, which is cool. You can be another team, but you don't get to jump back and forth. When you go over there with the other team this time, please remember we're taking away your hotel key. You're going to lose your room key. You're going to lose it. Going forward, if you hyphenate your identity, that is the same as hyphenating your name as a married woman. You are not my woman if your name is hyphenated. I am not going to jump in front of bullets for somebody who hyphenates their name. You already saw the agenda from us. You love doing that when you're getting goodies and benefits, but then you want to show your ass when you think you can steal something for yourself. No. Either you're all in or you're all out. If you're hyphenating your name and hyphenating your identity, you're not with us. If you're with us, you do not hyphenate your name or your identity. Your job is to show us that you're on the team. You hyphenate your name, you're not on the team. You're not. The whole reason why we've had to have this big market correction is because a bunch of folks thought they were going to shoplift. No. Either you're all the way in or you're all the way out. If you came with a hyphenated name, let me simplify your life for you. Whoever's name you hyphenated with, you stay over there. Whoever's name you think is so important that you're going to couple it with mine, oh, you can't couple mine. It don't work that way. I'm all good just the way I am. I don't need hyphenation. You putting somebody else's name in front of mine, you stay over there with them. You go do that. We are self-sufficient. My name is all you need. And if you think it needs more than that, you going to stay with whatever that little... Well, Jason, can we sprinkle a little bit of this different stuff in here? Why don't you just keep your different stuff and you stay over there with it? I'll fix that for you. You just keep your different stuff and you just stay over there with it. But don't come telling me you're going to hyphenate a name. You're going to hyphenate an identity. No, you're not. 2025, anybody who wants to hyphenate, out you go. You're off code. We're not taking hyphenation. That's the whole reason that we're playing the game by a different set of rules now. It's like, okay, everybody who wants to be black, you can ride with us. Everybody who wants to hyphenate, we got something for you too. Just not what you thought it was going to be. When we meet somebody who wants to hyphenate, it's like, oh, we got a hyphenation for you too. We have a hyphenation of our own. Going forward in 2025, that's what it's going to be. That's what it's going to be, a very clear understanding. So we can get everything in order. People, I can't protect every damn body who's out there. I can't protect a bunch of special interest groups. And I will never consider, I won't even consider protecting somebody who's not on the same team as me. I won't even consider it. You're not on the same team we're on. Get them other folks over there to sit up here and tolerate that with you. Ain't that right, Eve? Get that going over there. Let's see how this works out. I'm sure this will go swimmingly. I'm sure the real issue is just the last 50,000, 100,000 folk who tried this were just doing it wrong. I'm sure that's the only thing that's wrong. They were just doing it wrong. If they were as smart as you, then they would realize what they were doing wrong there. But the real thing is you're so much smarter than they are. If they were just as smart as you, then they would realize, oh, by the way, that's what it is. Yeah. "2025, no sacred cows. 2025, no sacred cows. 2025, no playing around. 2025, a bunch of folk who were worried, telling themselves they won't have to hear from us for a few more years, and they thought wrong. 2025 is what it's going to be. And all of you are going to be right there for it. It has been an exceptional journey. It has been an exceptional opportunity. They thought they seen the last of us. They haven't. They thought they heard the last of us. Oh, they were wrong about that in a major way. They don't even want to know how wrong an idea that was. And then we're just getting started. Hell of a bind to be in. Hell of a bind to be in. And don't worry, they're going to be spinning the block. So you can circle back around and try to figure out, okay, how do we make this better? They're going to be back to try to spin the block. And the message isn't going to change. The message isn't going to change. I've been doing this now going on for a while. We get together on holidays. Our numbers have grown. Do you realize what that means? That means that there are more and more of you who realize the necessity and the benefit and the graces of sacrificing. That is an outrageously encouraging thing to have. I have always told you that I have never been afraid of small numbers so long as our numbers are sufficient enough to exert our will. I am not looking for the large infantry. I'm looking for the special forces. And that's what we have here. We are not a gigantic infantry. We're the special forces. Or should I say, as an old saying goes, I do not fear an army of lions led by a sheep. I fear an army of sheep led by a lion. Although in our case, it's an army of lions led by a lion. And the lion is not Jason Black. The lion is the agenda. The lion in this case is the agenda. And you and me and us and we being consistent is the difference. These other folks out here, while they're taking their day off, by the way, we are taking out time to show people this is how seriously we take this. There's no other place we would rather be. Right here. I want to thank everyone, and I do mean everybody who's contributed to support tonight's program on PayPal, Super Chat, Venmo. Shout out here to Black Mama. You are amazing. To Jack Edmonds, thank you very much here. We appreciate that. To Mr. Cassius, thank you very much for your support. To Navarra, Mr. Navarra, thank you very much for your support here as well. We appreciate that also. Mr. Waits and Mr. Fremont, thank you to everyone here who has contributed to tonight's program. These things are never easy to do. Progress never goes as quickly as most folks would like, but that's okay because we are consistent and we're going to be here. Let me go ahead and see if I can take one more call here on Zoom. All right, I got Kadari here on Zoom. What's on your mind, brother?
Oh man, Jason, good evening, bro. I can't believe I got through. I was listening to it on my TV and on my phone, so I appreciate you, brother. I had to call in before the end of the broadcast because I usually call on the other program, but I just want to shout you out, man, because between just the business, I know we had some new callers on tonight. Myself, I've been listening to about 7 years, and that meant a lot for me. You just talking about is changing the dynamic of everything, just having that 10%. You know, and I just look back on my life over the last 7 years since I've been listening to you and just the New Black Media, man. And it's one of those things where whether it's a female I'm dating, a family member, I'll either listen, I'll put you on in the car or I'll put you on in the house while I'm cleaning, running errands or whatever. And it's always a weird vibe. And so just for you to speak on that, it helps me know that, hey, I'm in the right track. Not only, and I think you were talking to a younger female a couple weeks ago on the other program, and you were just saying like, hey, don't try to push the programs. Don't try to push that. Live your life, and that's going to push the agenda. That's going to push the program. And that's something that's really resonated with me, man. And that's something that I think a lot of us that we really appreciate about you. Is what you're doing is because you're not really trying to focus on being a mass market product. But I just really want to get you a shout out, man, because you changed my life, bro. And I had to call in on this program just because we're starting the year off strong, man. And it's a holiday, but I had to shout you out because you've been life changing.
Well, thank you very much for the kind words here. All I've tried to do with the Black Channel is create a repository of reliable information that I wish had been available when I was your age. That's Absolutely. Just the plain and simple of it. You've had so many fakers and liars out there, bull jive artists, folk bluffing through things. They want attention and they don't actually have anything. So I just wanted to create a place where that doesn't happen. And I like to believe I succeeded at that. If I've succeeded at one thing, I like to believe that that's the one. And it's never going to be a mass market thing because the truth of the matter is most people are comfortable with their lives where it is. Notice I didn't say they like their lives. I didn't say that. I said they're comfortable with it. You've had an old pair of shoes that didn't quite fit quite right, but they were comfortable. That doesn't mean that you liked them. That doesn't mean that you didn't know there was something better, but you were comfortable with it. There's a whole bunch of folk driving raggedy cars down the road. They're comfortable with it. You can become comfortable in a disadvantageous situation, and you see that all the time. I want you to simply be able to identify genuine people versus non-genuine people. If you have somebody who does not know, that's one thing. If you have somebody who does not care, that's a different matter. And a lot of you are willfully confusing don't care for don't know. And that's how you end up nagging at somebody and pushing at them for years and years to alter something because you're refusing to acknowledge, dude, this is not I don't know. This is he don't care. Whatever it is you selling, he ain't with it. Well, this will help his life. This will improve it. This, that, and the other. It's not the way it works.
Yeah. And I just look at it as an unfortunate thing because I think it was a program that you had mentioned too about, I always bring it up, man, the fight of the century. But I just think that that's one of the things that with this program has been, it's a very selfish thing to be comfortable with it because you're not acknowledging the history of what our people been through. And we got an opportunity to make a shit ton of money online, start a business, work on our credit, work on all these avenues. But for whatever reason, there's excuses. So I'm glad that there's a place where even on a holiday that we can go to and congregate, man. Because even when you was talking about the females being single, I was like, oh, man, and what about the guys? And I'm like, to your point, though, like this is exactly the dating apps are dead. even just going out to bars and stuff like that is dead. Like this is a once you said it, I was like, man, like this is exactly right, bro. This is exactly what we need, man. This is you're hitting us on all fronts, bro. So the political game, the financial, interpersonal. Like I said, man, I just had to shout you out on the holiday, man, because I'm still here. I'll be listening on the Black channel, but I usually call in on the business. But I had to, man. This is up. Like, man, I gotta chop up game. So I appreciate everything you're doing for the family, brother.
Thank you very much for giving us a call tonight. Like I say, look, you are a work in progress. The real thing is whether or not you're progressing. Getting comfortable where you are is the first major step to never progressing, or to progressing to a certain point and not getting any further. It's a very, very easy way to get there. Very, very easy way to get there. Folks, not a good sign. Not a good sign. Okay, over here on Zoom here, why is Deswar jumping up on Zoom at the last minute here? Why is Deswar jumping up on Zoom at the last minute? They had the whole night to call in, and they jumping up at the last second to get on Zoom. Deswar, I don't know what you think you're doing, but you got 5 seconds to turn your camera on. Okay, Deswar didn't make it. They wait until the last minute to call up on Zoom here. As soon as he says he's about to head out, he's wait a minute now. Okay, we're going to start living life differently. We got to start living life differently there. Brothers and sisters, it's been a hell of a ride. A lot of progress has been made. You have heard and seen things from folk you didn't think were going to happen. You've witnessed the events occurring exactly in the manner in which we predicted it. You've got an opportunity now to build on that. I'll be with you there every step of the way. I would like to thank all of you for taking time when you could have been running around and cutting cakes and cutting up turkeys or just bull jiving around, lighting fireworks. You could have been doing a bunch of other things, but you are here, demonstrating the level of discipline and dedication that you have. That's why I tell you, do you understand somebody who is that determined? It is not a matter of if they'll win, it's just a matter of when. You can't beat someone who is willing to sit up here and take off holidays and weekends, the time during which you give them time to quote unquote be free, and they're like they spend their free time here. You can't beat them. You're taking weekends off. You're taking holidays off. They're not taking weekends or holidays off. They're sitting over here with us. How are you going to beat the guy who takes weekends and holidays off? How are you going to beat us? How do you beat someone like that? You all know the math. It doesn't work that way. Very comforting to be on this side of that. I would hate to be trying to fight those people. I would hate to be the guy in the position of having to fight those people. Again, I'd like to thank everyone who's contributed to support tonight's program on PayPal, Super Chat, Venmo, to Mr. Matthews, to Wesley. Thank you all very much for your support here. Queen Lioness of Judah, Logic Before Emotion, Ronnie Wyatt, Mr. Richards, Ivy the Great, Mr. Fairchild. Thank you all very much for your support. If you are new here to the Black Channel, welcome to the Haven of Intelligent Black Thought. We do this every weekend, holidays, some days in between. Click that red subscribe button. Click that yellow notification bell. Join us each and every time that we're here. If you haven't been to our website, Black Channel Films, you want to check out our groundbreaking best-selling documentary work at Black Channel Films. Have an announcement that will be coming here shortly. Keep your eyes and your ears open. Also, I've made up my mind. I am going to probably going to have a contest of sorts for folks if they want to contribute to make some new sound bites for me. I'm probably going to have like a prize for that or something. But whoever can do it, like I say, is the ones that come through the best or sound the best or whatever, because I want to have some new ones there. Shout out to Mr. C. He gave me a sound drop for nigga what?
Nigga what?
Did he say nigga? I sure did.
And deal with it, nigga.
But anyway, he gave me that one there. He kind of cut himself
Nigga
off.
what?
Plus, I'm looking for something a little more belligerent, just maybe a little bit more belligerent. So he's invited. I'm probably gonna have a contest here. I'll let you all know how I want to do that. for that one. I want that one. I'm probably going to have one for Ho Please. I'm probably going to have one for that too, as a matter of fact. So I think I got about 3 that I want to have made. So I may turn it over to the family here for you all to take care of that. So I want to get a nigga what? I want to get a Ho Please. I want to do that one. And I've got one more. That I've got in mind there too. So got that together as well. So just coming through with a few new ideas in that regard. I'll let you know when we're ready to move on that. Oh yes, and by the way, New York, we're coming for you. I want to thank all of you for tuning in to tonight's program. Thank you all for liking, subscribing, and sharing. And this concludes tonight's broadcast of the Black Channel. I am your host, your brother, your humble servant, your fellow soldier at arms, the Black Authority. And until next time, all of my brothers, all of my sisters, all of my fellow soldiers at arms, remember, Black is the future, and the future is the agenda.